And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show, and this is going to be episode 375. So I hope you guys had a great day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, I am going to be having a conversation with Geekdom101, and this is going to be his first appearance on the show. And this has been a content creator that I have been subscribed to ever since I started creating content back in 2015. I remember when your channel first started. I remember like all your big videos and shit. And I was like, damn, this guy is saying shit that I was actually saying in my fucking head. But, you know, you had a bigger platform, so it was going to a lot more people, right? And then, man, I've essentially been subscribed to your channel for a very long time, man, and you were making some really, really good videos. You were the second channel that I subscribed to, because people don't remember him because he doesn't really put out as much videos anymore. The original Dragon Ball content creator that I subscribed to was Quaman. People don't remember how big Quaman used to be back in the day.
He's coming back.
Quaman made some fucking fire videos. That guy's videos, in my opinion, goated. You know, so after him, I subscribed to you. And I don't really subscribe to a lot of other Dragon Ball people. I think that new guy, it's called Netbird. He makes some fun videos. I subscribe to him. But, you know, man, I feel like I've known you for like a long time without actually, you know, having a conversation. So it's an honor to have you here, man. Thank you for actually, you know, coming on the show and, you know, doing the interview actually. And if I do a good job, you'll come back for a second time, because there's so much that I can't even cover everything I want to cover in the first appearance. I want to do like the major stuff, you know, and I want to start at here, and then we'll end up at a certain place, because I feel like, you know, as much as I've been watching your channel, much as I've been watching your content throughout, damn, fucking been like a decade. Holy fucking
10
shit.
years. I appreciate it too, by the way.
I feel like a lot of people still don't really truly understand you, despite you explaining it pretty much in the latter half of your content creating career. Also, you actually do a better job of explaining like most of who you are on your second channel, which also has a lot of, you know, views and subscribers too. So like, even if they can't get that from your main YouTube channel, your second one has you putting out plenty of videos of you describing like your mindset towards things and how you evolved your mindset, you know, towards things. So we're going to get to all that. So we're going to start with the origin story. So just in case you do have a second and third appearance down the show's life later on, this is already done, so you don't have to do it again. How was your life growing up? Because you're not from America. You're born in Cuba, actually, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people think you're American, because probably just the way you look, honestly. You look American.
And I know, and the way I speak is I talk good English. No, what I was gonna say, actually, I wanted to comment on something you said a minute ago.
Yeah.
I am thinking about doing more personal videos on the Geekdom101 channel, because I don't think a lot of people really know me as well as, I mean, some people will often, the parasocial thing, they'll fill in the blanks. Like they don't, like, your brain can only create a schema about another person with as much data as you have. And I always kept my channel to be more content based than personality based. You can, when you make a YouTube, you can either have it be about the content or the personality, you know, and I don't really show my personality as much on videos. I show it more on streams and stuff like that. Podcast, then you get to really get to know me better. But like the person on main videos, I'm just very, you know, I guess very matter of fact. I guess it is. But I like doing that. I like doing those kind of videos. But anyways, no, I'm not from America. I'm from Cuba, but I did come here when I was like 6 months old. So I guess I was raised here pretty much. I'm pretty much. I don't like to claim it all the time, but I guess I am an American. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. It's just it's sexier if you say you're from another country. But we did immigrate here. Me, my mom, my dad, my aunt, and my brother, and they're all gone. I'm the last one left.
I know how you feel. Yep, that happened to me over the last 10 years. Yeah, you end up becoming like that. Everyone ends up becoming Vegeta and Goku at some point with their origin stories, losing their whole family and shit.
It's like what Mickey said in Rocky, not Rocky, but Rocky 5. Rocky 5, Mickey had the best scene in the movie where he tells Rock, you get old, your friends start dying, and next thing you know, you have to find things in life to keep you going, you know? So it's the same thing. But yeah, but I did go back to Cuba, you know, with my parents a couple times. But some people know that I'm Cuban. Some people don't know. I'm because Cuba's such a diverse racial country. You know, I say that I'm 1/8 black because my father is a quarter black, because Cuba has a lot of we have a lot of African, like way back in the day, Africans migrated from Africa to Cuba and Puerto Rico. That's why there's so many dark-skinned Cubans and dark-skinned Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. And when you compare them to like Mexicans, where a lot of them are like more Asian, that's because the Asians came over from China to work on the railroads. Like everything makes sense when you look at history. But the point I'm trying to make is, but I look and I sound, as they would say, white, and that's because I didn't speak English when I was a kid. I didn't even learn the English language till I was 5 years old, and I pretty much learned it without having much of an accent. Like sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can hear it, but I sound like I'm from like New York or something. And that's okay. That's fine. So, but let me tell you, I went to high school in the hood, and I remember, okay, I found a tape, a VHS tape of in high school from a video productions class about 4 years ago. Black and Fist was over here at my house. So was Jamie Snowden, who's a voice actor. We're hanging out. I found this tape and I push it in and I hit play. I haven't seen this footage in like 20 years. And I have an afro. And I'm like, so what's going on, dog? So today, you're like, I used to talk like that. Because like I went to a high school in the hood. Like it was the high school I went to was like, I think like 65% Hispanic, 25% black, and the rest was white. So it was mostly very ethnic and very urban. And I talked like that. And I had forgotten that I talked like that. And then when I graduated and went to college and kind of got a job, you sort of get that out of you. I still have it a little bit in there, but like I couldn't even believe how I was talking. It was so weird. It was like I forgot that I was this person. So it's just funny because going back to the original point that you made about knowing me and the 10 years thing, the Danny that existed in 2015, who first started Geekdom101 and just was just getting his feet wet in YouTube, that's not who I am now. 2025 Danny's a completely different person. In fact, 2025 Danny's not even 2024 Danny. I've had a lot of things happen to me this year that have changed my life for the better. So you just got to keep growing and changing, you know, and it's fun to look back and see how you were versus how you are.
So after high school, or just during the whole schooling period of your life, were you mostly homeschooled, or did you mostly go to public school? Actually?
Homeschool.
Okay.
Homeschool, bro. Brother, I wish. I wish I was homeschooled, bro. My dad worked, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. But my parents were uneducated. Not that they were dumb, but they didn't have degrees. My dad worked for a recycling plant. My mom was a stay-at-home mom who would babysit or clean like the laundromat in the apartment complex we lived in. She got paid for it. Homemaker type of situation, very old school. So no, I went to public school, bro. That's why I was saying, like, when I was in high school, the high school I went to, which is Hillsborough Senior High School, I don't mind telling you,
Yes.
you can look into it. It's my parents were scared because it was literally near the projects. They didn't know what was going to happen. But what was funny about it was the neighborhood that we lived in was almost like a Hispanic version of the hood. But it wasn't the projects, but it was a Hispanic. There was, because we had Tampa, the way Tampa was like set up is like you've got West Tampa, which is Cubans. We own West Tampa. If you're from Tampa, brother, there's Cuban restaurants on every corner. We own it. And then like more in the Northeast, you have like Northeast, Southeast, you have more like the African American people. Then you have like the whites up in Carrollwood. It's diverse. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Tampa because it's so diverse. But like we have a very large population here, and that's because a lot of the Cubans that migrated over here went to Tampa to start way back. This is like before my parents were born. This is like the 1800s. I think the 1800s. They started a cigar factory that blew up over here, and it's still there. You can take a tour of it. But the point is that, like, you know, it was my parents were scared because they didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't want me to get bullied. And the funny thing is, I got more bullied in elementary and middle school than I did in high school. That's the
Dude,
funny thing.
I was thinking about that too. Like, I was pacing back and forth at work, and I was like, I mostly got bullied in elementary and intermediate school. High school, it wasn't even really that bad. High school
It
was
wasn't.
nothing.
It
Yeah.
was. In fact, I'll be honest with you, and this is something I'm ashamed of, but I'm also glad that I grew out of it.
Mhm.
I kind of became a bully in high school. I wasn't like a bully that was physical with people, but I would play pranks. And some of the pranks I played were mean. I didn't recognize it at the time. It was just me and my friends being dicks because kids are dicks, you know?
Yeah.
But looking back on it, like, I did reach out to a couple people when Facebook became the thing in like the late 2000s. I did find people to just apologize, to get it off my chest and let them understand that, you know, it wasn't like I bullied like a lot of people. That's not what it was. There's a lot of pranks I would play. That's all. Like, stuff I can tell you stories, but the point is,
yeah, I know.
sometimes you become the bully, and then when you get into the workplace, you think there's no bullies in the workplace, and there are. And I've dealt with a couple of bosses, like people above me in the pecking order, who were either bullies and a couple who were actually racist. I told the story on an old Speakdom years ago when I got my first job at McDonald's. One of the managers there, Danielle, I'm not going to say her last name because I don't remember it, to be honest. She was very racist because when she used to treat the Mexican workers really poorly and make them do disgusting remedial jobs and never touch the food despite them wanting to. I was making fries and things like that. Once she heard me speak fluent Spanish to them, she started treating me differently. And to this day, I'll never forget that, because I dealt with my own example of racial profiling and it pisses me off. Like, I mean, I'm not mad about it now. It's been fucking decades, but I mean, like, still, like, people think that when you get into the workplace, there's no bullies. Oh no, corporate America is filled with bullies, which is why I'm so happy doing YouTube, because I don't have to deal with any of that shit. There's internet bullies, but they're all cowards. You know, well, all bullies are cowards. Every bully is a coward, but like, you know, the internet bullies, they're even more cowardly because they don't have to deal with getting hit in the mouth. And at least when you're a bully in person, you have to deal with possibly getting hit in the mouth. I feel, my opinion, that if you're somebody on the internet who spends the day trying to make somebody else feel bad or hurt somebody else's feelings, not only are you mentally ill and damaged, but you're probably a coward. In fact, you are a coward. It's the most cowardly thing you can do. Like, when people say, and I'm not talking about me, I mean, like, just people leave rude comments to women or to like a YouTuber or whatever, and just say just this offhand shit. And like, I a lot of my friends are content creators, so we've talked about it. And it's just like, dude, these guys are all pussies. Like, they're just, they what? Wow, how sexy you are to leave. I'm sure all the girls get turned on by those mean comments. It's like a waste of time, and that they're wasting their time. That's the funny thing. But
So,
yeah.
after public school time in your life, what did you do before YouTube then? Because I remember you said you went to college or community college, right?
I went to a trade school.
Okay.
It was somewhere in between college. It wasn't community, I wouldn't say, but it was less expensive than real college, and I got a grant to go. And I did. So yeah, for 10 years, from actually 2005 to 2015. 2005 is when I went to college. First I worked as a loan counselor just to make money. Then I worked for the cable company, you know, whatever. But the cable company job was actually an IT job. I went to school for networking and engineering, and I got my degree and my certifications and all that. And so for about 10 years I was in IT. I didn't start my channel till 2015. That's when I first got in, but I had 10 years of work experience. And
this
so
is what a lot of people
had,
don't know about you. You actually had work experience compared, because, you know, like nowadays you have all these kids, I call them kids, young adults that go viral and they're millionaires.
YouTube's their first job, right?
Yeah,
TikTok
or
and
they're
YouTube
on
is their
Twitch.
first job.
Yeah, and they legit have no experience in the workforce. Do you remember that take that was like earlier this year? And guys, I'm not shitting you. The take went like this: what's harder, streaming or a 9 to 5? That was actually echoed and sentimented on Twitter. I'm like, I showed Speed, one of the biggest streamers in the world, said even he did 9-to-5 jobs, and he even said, nah, I like streaming more. Gee, I wonder why. It might be a little bit more easier than, I don't know, you know the struggle, man. Waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning, getting to work an hour later, staying overtime, coming home, living paycheck to paycheck for 2 weeks. W-2 taxes ain't shit. You look forward to getting those back, but it doesn't matter because the bank already takes that money before you get it anyway. Like, I couldn't believe these rich millionaire people, like quite literally maybe multi-millionaire people, said, is it easier streaming, dealing with internet comments than working at 9 to 5? I want people to understand how those people are famous and how much is a different story, but the money they get, where do you guys think all that money they get comes from? Us 9 to 5 people, give them money.
Well, there's truth to what you're saying, but I do want to somewhat play devil's advocate on one thing, on one point. I agree with you that working on the internet is easier for in the majority of people's perspective, but here's the way that there's another side to it, and here's the other side.
Okay.
Because if it's what's better, a 9 to 5 or streaming? Some people are very introverted. They're very shy. Some people are not good with dealing with these comments. There's a lot of mental illness out there. There's people who stream, and in fact, it's actually more people than you realize who stream and they have undiagnosed depression. And when they see these mean comments, it actually really affects them. And so for somebody like that, is it worth building up a channel or a brand that's going to take you years and years and years, and you might never make a profit at it, and have to deal with these people constantly attacking you and harassing you? For somebody who has a mental illness, bro, and I'm saying mental illness, not like I'm not saying that in like I'm clowning them. It's more common than people realize. People are very sensitive. So like dealing with like constant insults, human beings were not meant to take that shit. So you have to have very thick skin to put up with the shit. Right. So there are some people that I think are better off working a 9 to 5, whether it be working at the zoo or driving Uber. It doesn't matter. Something away from the internet, something to where you're not going to get rude comments. I know friends who refuse to do any YouTubing or streaming because they're chefs or they're karate instructors. They deal with the public in a very small level, but they're usually in the back cooking, and they're peaceful with that. So that's the other side to it. I think it does vary from person to person. However, the one thing that I show Speed and I have in common is that when you deal, and maybe you do as well, because you have spoken about it, when you're dealing with corporate America corporate America is not for everyone. That's something else. That's the other side of it. I was in corporate America for 10 years. I've been screwed over by I don't know how many companies. I've had lots of cutthroat BS happen. I've dealt with the issue with IT, and if anybody's watching this who is in IT, whether it be networking, servers, if you're working on computers somewhere in the world, here's the truth. Oftentimes what happens is the supervisors of these positions are very intelligent computer people, meaning they know how to fix anything. So that's why they get promoted, but they don't know how to deal with people. And so I dealt with supervisors that would demean me, that would try to humiliate me, that would disrespect me, that would play political games, because a lot of these people don't have people skills. They just get promoted because they know how to do everything. Okay, you've been here X number of years, you're going to be the boss. When they don't have the people skills to be a boss or a leader, that's the other side of it. And I dealt with that. So yes, I do agree with iShowSpeed and your comment about streaming is better for most of us, especially those of us who have dealt with corporate America. That is true, but I think there's also the other side where some people are better off just not doing this, because if you cannot handle, especially women, because I've noticed that every single woman content creator I know gets the type of shit. We don't get that. They get it, because it's not just the over sexualization. It's a lot of creepy guys, a lot of guys who are saying rude things about the way they look. A lot of women are sensitive to that, bro. Like the internet, and there's a whole There's a writer named Jonathan Haidt who wrote several books. He was on Joe Rogan's show a couple times about what's happening to our youth now because of the internet and these comments, people being mean to each other, you know, and you're going to have some asshole say, oh, they should develop thick skin. Not when you have depression, bro. And I have more empathy for those people. However, I am going to say this. I do think that if you worked outside of YouTube for a time in your life or outside of Twitch, whatever, right? Then you have the perspective to say, you know what? This is better. And this is better for me, not just because of the money, but because I can make my own hours. I've always been, and this is ultimately the truth about content creation. This is the secret truth. If you are a results-based person, this is for you. If you're not, you're going to have a hard time. Now, what do I mean by that? A lot of times in my life was 8-hour shift. I'm at my desk. Ring, ring. Hi, thanks for calling so-and-so.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there waiting for the next. And so you'll be there like just waiting for the next call. Ring, ring. And that's your job. You get paid out an hourly wage and you have to sit there on your shift, or, you know, if you're working retail, whatever, right? You work your 8 hours, you go home. That's not me. That's never been me. I am one of those guys that if I can get my work done fast, or even if it's not fast, but if it's on my hours, I'm way better. So I will literally, and I did this during Dragon Ball Super, I will literally work 16-hour days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, get 5-6 videos done, and then the rest of the week I'm off. And you can do that. You can do that if you make your own hours. That freedom is wonderful if you're results based. Even when I was a kid, bro, I used to finish my work early, give it to the teacher. Okay, you can go play on the computer. Like, it's the same thing, except you're doing it yourself. So, and the thing is, here's the real truth. This is hard work. If you have pride in the content that you make, you're going to spend a lot of time on it. I have friends in the Dragon Ball space who spend literally like 15 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. It's harder than a 9 to 5, but the freedom, you don't have to worry about, oh, you get 2 15-minute breaks and a lunch. Like, fuck all that shit, man. I'm sorry for cursing. Am I allowed to curse? I won't curse that much.
You're good, man. You're good.
We're deep in. But anyway, let me wrap up my point. My point is that, yes, I do like this more. Most people will, especially if you come from corporate America. When you get screwed over by corporate America enough times, you know.
Because I feel like the best way to have a perspective on these things is if you actually did them both. Because, like you just pointed out, and my pointed out, some of these guys just this whole generation that came behind me, their whole life's been on the internet. Why do a lot of people think that like movie theaters are not performing as well very much? Because these kids weren't really growing up the same way we did. Like people like me and you know, you had some buddies back in the day. You had like $20. You could go to movies and watch a few movies for like a good $20. Everyone gets a seat, right? But these kids nowadays, they've been given movies to them off these iPads and tablets they watch. It's a whole different generation of a mindset. Everything's different. Yeah. And the thing that you mentioned earlier, and the thing you mentioned earlier, that is actually a very pivotal thing that a lot of people don't actually understand is the amount of, I'll give an example that you went through back in 2019. You know, I'm going to bring up the Dragon Ball Return Super thing, right? So this thing, when you had people coming after you on that massive viral big thing they wanted, because they're like, he's a fraud, he's a fake. You guys gotta understand, when you're like, let's say on someone like your level, when you hit a viral kind of thing, it's not just one person. Okay, so one person calling you ugly, calling you shit, that's whatever. That's happened throughout life. That at that point, that doesn't mean anything. Now, times that by, I don't know, 2,000 people a day, could be weeks on end, they're telling you this shit. You know, can the average person handle that?
I mean, the thing with that specifically is that actually that situation is something that took me years to really to get past, because it would bother me. That situation for years bothered me because I don't like being called a liar and I don't like being called a fraud. And when you really think about it, prior to Dragon Ball Super 2019, which, by the way, I've already explained at least 3 times what happened, and wait till January, because in January I'm going to get proven right again. Just wait till you hear what they're going to say in January. I am already drooling with the "I told you so." But nevertheless, I got every single story correct. Everything from Rose before it went public, everything about the Broly movie, every scoop that I had up until then was 100% correct. I made no mistakes, ice cold, no mistakes. I had not my predictions. We're not talking about predictions.
Right.
We're talking about actual inside information.
People truly forget you get verified
I was the first
information.
I was the first guy who told you Gogeta versus Broly would end in that movie. I was the first guy to say Frieza wanted to be 5 feet taller. I was the first guy to say how Gogeta was going to beat Broly. I was the first. Like, it just goes on and on and on and on from there. And so I have this whole list of all these like stories I got right. Then Dragon Ball Super comes around. All of a sudden, now I've always been a fraud, and I have, and that's just how people are. Like, it's like the story about Albert Einstein, when Albert Einstein did a test and he got every question right and got one wrong, and all people harped on was the one that he got wrong. That's just how people are.
I'll use a basketball reference. You know, on the Michael Jordan one, remember when he got crossed by Iverson and everyone remembers the cross? No one remembers that Michael Jordan dropped 40 points on that guy that game. Even when you're on a certain level of success, they will always highlight, even if you were like 100% right, 90% right, 95% right, they will always never let it be not known that you had a failure in that 100%. It's like, dude.
And you have to understand. Yes, and you have to, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you have to understand that affected me because due to like things that I dealt with in my childhood, I hate being called a liar and I hate being lied to. And I don't lie to people. I've never lied to my audience. I have lied to the cops. I've lied to teachers and my parents and stuff like that in my life. Cause my parents never found out some of the messed up things I did in high school. Right. They didn't know. But like, I've never lied to my audience. There's no reason. It doesn't make sense. The narrative they pushed was that I made up the Dragon Ball Super 2019 story for views. And that makes no sense because why would I sacrifice my credibility for views on one video? It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's illogical. But there are people who were drooling for me to fail. And when that happened, they got their wish and they felt bad. Again, it goes back to what we talked about before we started recording, how people have coping mechanisms and they enjoy seeing other people more success that they perceive as being more successful. I'm just a guy, but they see this person who has big numbers or whatever, and they want them to go down. It makes them feel good when somebody gets brought down. And I've never been that guy. I have never in my life, I've never been somebody who's enjoyed seeing the downfall of someone. But I mean, it wasn't my downfall because I'm still here now and I still continue to make content afterward. But it was a situation where it took me years to really reflect back. And then when Daima came along, that was my redemption story, because not only did I reveal things month and month and month and month, even a year before it was public, I had the receipts are there. The dates on the videos are there. Like it's unquestionable that I had inside information about Daima, and I have inside information about the January thing that I'm not going to reveal.
And that's the thing I wanted to tackle right there, not the January one, but just this method that a lot of people use in their brains, that it always goes kind of like this. Whatever they see the end result of something, they think that was always going to be the plan from starting to where they got it to. So
that's true.
So I want to let people I want people to truly understand this when it comes to information in the kind of business he's talking about, because I had to learn it myself, because it was actually your 2019 Dragon Ball Super one that really opened my eyes to it. Because in the comic book world, we would have people that would say certain things and people would get called liars. But this is how information works, people. So I'm not saying this is true. I'm just going to make up a story, guys. This is purely made up. I don't know this at all. So let's just say I'm a person that wants to tell you something because you're very popular and you could get the attention on it. I don't want to show my face. I'm just giving you the information, right? So I'll tell you, and we'll use like DC, for example. Let's say privately, I tell you, Danny, there's going to be a Nightwing movie coming out in 2032. hypothetically for James Gunn's new DCU. Now, I'm going to understand, because people are really fucking stupid. There's 24 hours, guys, in the day. Things can change because the average person's brain doesn't evolve past a certain thing. So what I told you was probably true, but what if the studio went, you know what, maybe a Nightwing movie, it's not something we want to have come out right in that moment. Does that make what I said a lie? No, it doesn't. It's called, guys, this information changing.
Well, not just that, but even in the sporting world, when they talk about a certain player being traded or drafted and then doesn't happen the way, that's just how life is. Stuff changes. Yeah. But the issue is you're dealing with people who have very low self-esteem in many cases, and people who their validation to make themselves feel better about themselves is having somebody else get something wrong or fail, or, their career ends and this and that. And it's just very funny because, like, it took me a while to really accept it. I redeemed myself, I feel, multiple times since then. And January will be another example. If they reveal if they say what I think they're going to say, but they might not say it. So I'm not going to say it. But the point I'm trying to make is like, it bothered me for a long time because I just hated being called a liar, but that's because it was a core wound that existed from my childhood. That's why I hated it. And I still don't like being called a liar, but ultimately it doesn't matter because people on the internet know nothing about me. Most have no idea what my real name actually is. Like, people don't know anything about me, anything. And so if they're going to make up a story in their own head to make themselves feel better, that's on them. I don't really care. You have to deal. You're the one that has to carry that. I don't have to carry that. And that's something that took me a while to get. And that's why I think that if you're going to do content full time, especially if you're on camera, or if you're a person you're you, like, I'm not working for Watch Mojo. I'm one guy, not one channel, but one guy. I'm the only guy that makes content for my channel, the host of everything with other people contributing. That's me. But like, if you're going to do that, you are going to need a form of therapy, because I'm telling you now, every single content creator I have ever spoken to has some form of depression, some form of mental illness, something going on from their childhood, because some of it could also be autism. There's a lot of things going on, ADHD. And that's the funny thing is, that's actually kind of why they're successful, because they have that brain wired to do these complex sort of like figuring out the algorithm, figuring out what to make a video on, etc. So it's one of those things where I feel like therapy is healthy. I feel like the minute you start doing content and you start making enough money to afford therapy, get in it. I got into therapy in 2020. I needed it. I had made some mistakes in my personal life. I got into therapy and it really changed me. And it really got me to understand why I was the way that I was. And I think everyone needs it. I really do.
Well, the crazy part about like people that were like, very, very huge on being your fans and everything. And then that happened with the Dragon Ball Super 2019 moment. And apparently just that switch in their head went, no, you're just nothing to me anymore. You lied to me. But it's so weird because before
that wasn't that many people, though. It really wasn't.
Well, have you noticed how weird that is with people? Not even just with that, or just in general. Like, you could, like on Twitter, you could say, I don't know, the Dragon Ball Z English dub is bad. And then someone will literally go, I hate this guy. And it's like, but apparently they've liked you for X amount of years. But that one thing you said that ticked them off that day, that must mean that everything they liked about you is gone. I don't understand people like that. Is there no chances anymore?
No, there's not. There's not. I mean, and it doesn't have to be about me. It could be about anybody. When you see someone like that you either admired or whatever, you're envious of, whatever, somebody who's in a position that you feel is undeserving or whatever the case is, like the people who stopped following me over 2019 were never people who I wanted to even follow me to begin with. There's, I'm probably the only YouTuber, one of the only ones, because I keep shit very real, to where if somebody says unsubscribed, I say bye, because I'm not I don't care, dude. Like, I really don't care. Because I've never done anything on my channel. I've never been involved in any fucking like sex scandal or anything. I didn't get caught with a 16-year-old like some of these Smash players. Like, and you're not gonna catch me doing that. I have a clean criminal record. Like, I haven't done anything wrong. If something I said triggered you to the point where you can't watch me anymore, that's on you more than on me. Now, I'm not saying that person's a bad person or their opinion doesn't matter. It's just that I can't let that bother me. And most of the time, it is a position where I'm like, okay, you're really soft. Like, if this is what it takes, if it took that Dragon Ball Super story, if that is what it took for you to like not support me anymore, I would rather you not support me at all, because I don't want people like that. I don't want fair weather fans. I want people who are going to stick around. I remember I once spoke to someone, and this is somebody who I don't respect, and you'll know why in a minute.
Okay.
Who told me that he told his kids that Super was coming back in 2019, and when it didn't come back, they started crying. And he said, he told me, you made my kids cry. And this is what I told him. I said, first of all, you're the kid's parent, not me. I never told your kids anything. I made a video. You're the one that's telling them that. That's number one. Number two, if a cartoon not coming back and plans changing makes your kids cry, maybe you should reevaluate the kind of parent you are. Because if your kids are that unstable to where something they read on the internet isn't true, God forbid when they find out about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, God forbid. And it's just, and then number three, the fact that you are blaming me over a decision that was made in Japan, that happened again with the fusion bugs. When I was for sure that the fusion bugs are going to be used in episode 20 because they were foreshadowed. They weren't. Suddenly, I got it wrong. I'm a fraud. And I just rolled my eyes because
it's the weird guilt tripping.
You're blaming me over something that Toei did.
Right.
I had nothing to do with. And that's the thing. Is like you have to have, this goes back to what I said a minute ago. You have to have thick skin to do this. Yeah. And if you don't have it, then you're better off doing a 9-to-5. End of story. You're better off.
Right.
And let me tell you something. I know a lot. I have had conversations with millionaires who have cried saying that they wish that they can go back to doing a 9-to-5 because of the pressure that they're on. Like, but at the same time, there's, again, let's look at the other side of it.
Right.
I'm using the word hate here. I hate when a successful YouTuber complains about YouTube. I hate that so much because we all complain a little bit. But when you're fucking going on your videos, this I can't handle the pressure, it's too much. I'm like, dog, you are a multi-millionaire.
And a very
you talk. Well, hold on. Yes, but I want to paint this picture here. You are a multi-millionaire who gets paid sitting at home on your ass covering an anime, and you're crying about it. My father worked 6 days a week in the sun for 8 to 12 hours. People work retail and actually are physically assaulted on Black Friday and things like that. There's people in other countries who have it even worse. You are a millionaire and you're complaining about sitting on your ass making videos. Bro, you've got to have gratitude. And when I see somebody who's not grateful like that, I lose respect for them, because we all deal with copyright. We all deal with the grind of YouTube. We all deal with the same BS. But how come some complain and some don't? Maybe those guys that bitch should actually go work a 9-to-5 and then say, and there's one guy in particular who did leave YouTube, went to go work. I'm not going to say who it is. Went to go work a regular job. Then that didn't work out. Came back.
I might know you're talking about. Vague. If it's a Dragon Ball guy, if it's a Dragon Ball guy, then I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna name no names, but this happens a lot actually. Left YouTube to get a regular job, came back because that job didn't work out, and he was bitching and moaning about that job, and then he's bitching and moaning about YouTube, and I said, well, bro, what do you want? Like, what do you got to do something, you know, like,
got to make money somehow.
Money? Yeah. You got to figure something out.
It's something I said on your show. Light bills don't pay themselves. So
right. Pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons, bro. It's just that for me, I'm so blessed. Oh, here comes the ego. I'm so blessed by God, excuse me, that I got to where I'm at, that like I just have a lot of gratitude. And I think people need to be more grateful for what they do have, because a lot of people don't have things. And like I think if people traveled more and you went outside of the US, you would then see how other people live, and you'd appreciate the things you have. Like I mentioned earlier, how I said I don't always like saying I'm American, but at the very least, like, we have it pretty fucking privileged here, dude, compared to other places.
And that's the thing that I wanted to tackle on when you were saying what you were just saying there, which is like the reason why I brought up the streamer 9 to 5 thing is it's just a general essence of the argument is someone not understanding the spot that they're in. That, like you said, they can make their own hours. They don't have to get up in the morning. They could do all these things that a 9 to 5 job would have you involved in. And I just think that someone in that spot, you know, should feel that they're in a very privileged spot. They don't have to do what us commoners deal with every day. Like, isn't that the point of life anyways? To like get a lot of money and at something that you're good at, so you don't have to do all that extra bullshit that you did when you got to that point, you know? So for me, when it ever came to that as a take that happened, it was earlier this year or last year, I was like, some of you guys are millionaires in the best spots you could ever be in your entire life, you know? And I'm not trying to be one of those guys that you don't know what I go through, but you know, you should feel happy you're in this spot, you know? That's just what I think personally. Like, because like you said, shit is hard out there in those streets every day. There's people in Section 8 housing. There's people in bad neighborhoods. There's people in a bunch of other fucked up situations. There's kids right now being abused because their dad's an alcoholic. Maybe, I hope not sexually. All this bullshit going on. Go ahead.
And make no mistake, I'm not trying to minimize, like, yes, I have had hard days at the office. There have been days.
Oh, yeah.
There have been days like throughout my last 10 years on this platform where I've wanted to straight up quit. There have been days where I have been very upset, where I have to emergency call one of my therapist. There have been days like that. But now, 10 years later, looking back, dude, I'm so grateful, because if it wasn't for Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, YouTube, and God and my, like, the stuff I've been able to put together, I would have never experienced going to Japan, going to Dallas, going to LA, going to Chicago. I took all the Atlanta. I went to Toonami headquarters, interviewing people that I admired as a kid. I got to meet John Walsh from America's Most Wanted, something that my father and I bonded over when I was a kid. I interviewed him. I would not have gone to Japan. I would not have bought this home and had it paid off. Like, everything, there are so many good things that this career has brought me that I'm never going to like. And so when I look at somebody else, especially somebody who I know is rich, there's a lot of YouTubers are rich, and I'm just like, dude, like, just stop bitching. Like, okay, I'm with you. We can have the conversation. I'll be your shoulder to cry on. You're getting mean comments, the algorithm. I know, but brother, you gotta look at this beautiful house. Look at that beautiful family. Like, you're doing good. You're all right.
Well, like, yes, and people don't see the gratitude.
They need somebody to tell them you're all right.
Yeah, like, people, in my opinion, dude, don't see like how good they have it, because a lot of people always look at it from like, what's the old analogy, glass half full, where like they feel like they should have X and X and X amount of things. But I tell people this, the life you have right now, I would tell people, you might not think it's a good spot you have in what you have right now in life. I would say right now, a lot of people would kill for that spot you're in. whatever you have, a family, you might have a good job, anything of that. So I think I'm not even saying being content, because being truly content is really bad. But I'm saying like people should look at the bright side of things a lot more often. Like, hey, you're in good health. I know a lot of people who will kill for good health. We know that, man. I know a ton of people in my life who would kill for good health. You're in good health. If you don't have kids, you're a single guy, girl. You got a great job. You have a car. There's things you should be looking at and going, hell yeah, I did it. If you can even live by yourself in this economy, in any state, I think that's good. You can live by yourself. There's people that with 3 kids and 2 jobs there's people, you yourself can live by yourself and not have any. I don't think you have any kids, right? You're not married. You have any kids, right?
I'm not going into my personal life.
Okay. So, you can do everything you want right now, and you could look back and go, you know what? I did it all. I have a good life. I know a lot of, like you said before, people should kind of go, how about this? Look up the way Saudi Arabia treats women, and you will see how good you have it over here, just with basic human decency. There's countries that don't even see male or females as humans. Just pointing out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I agree with you. Even if it's like a little, even if it's just, you wake up one day and you're just grateful for having a roof when it's raining, or having food in the fridge. It really, I think it's really humbling when you do it. And it's brought this incredible sense of peace to me, and this is something that if you and I would have talked, put it to you like this, if you and I would have done this podcast, I don't know, a year ago, I probably wouldn't be saying these things. I changed a lot in a year. A lot of things happened to me this year, but there was a time, and 2019 was the beginning of it, where I was very bitter, very, very bitter. Anybody who's a close friend of mine knows I was very bitter at YouTube. I was bitter at my friends who had betrayed me. I was bitter at like Dragon Ball stopping, and I had anxiety. I was afraid I was going to lose everything, because that's something else, is we sometimes catastrophize. Like, did you know that when people have anxiety, 99% of the shit we worry about is probably not going to happen, and it's probably not true? Like, it's wild. And so we start playing these games with each other, and that's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't have even told you this a year ago. And I just hope that other people get to that point. Like, you have to, okay, if you're going through it and you want to take a break from YouTube, take a break from YouTube. But if you come back to YouTube in 3 months and you're not getting the views you were getting 3 months ago, and you think it's because you took the break, you should have known that before you took the break. I'm not even saying that that's good or bad. I'm just saying that that's how it is, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, enough people in life just don't appreciate the little things. Like the thing you just said a second ago there is that knowing I have a roof over my head and I'm not homeless on the streets when it's freezing cold or extremely hot.
I was homeless.
I know you mentioned that. Yeah. The fact that your bill, you might not have any money. Your bills are paid. At least you're not homeless. Is that not enough to be like, you know what? Maybe I am doing good. I am getting it.
That's
right
what I'm saying. Yeah. And ultimately, like, there's always, I think people are better off than they realize once they actually sit down and look at what they have and look at their potential. It's like, oh, okay, so maybe it's not so bad. But sometimes you have to have a friend sort of tell you that. You know what I mean? So anyways.
Well, the next big thing I wanted to cover is, well, since your channel, you got really big about this Dragon Ball. So how did you discover Dragon Ball, actually?
It's funny. The first time I ever saw anything about Dragon Ball was, and I've told this story before, but it's been a while. I was a big video game fan as a kid, like every kid was. Every kid's a video gamer. And I used to get a magazine called Electronic Gaming Monthly. And in the April 1994 issue, I even remember, because I have it still. I still have that magazine in my other room. There was a article for a game called Dragon Ball Z Super Futoden, because they fucked up and put F instead of B, whatever. And it was a picture of Goku, like Super Saiyan Goku from the Cell Saga, like full powered. And I looked at some of the screenshots of the game, and they're doing this, and I recognize this not as the Kamehameha. This is the Hadoken, because I play Street Fighter 2. Because if you were a gamer in the 90s, you if you were an arcade gamer, you played Street Fighter 2. So let me get my earphone here. Anyways, and that was my first entry into Dragon Ball. Didn't know what it was, thought it was just a Japanese game. That's fine, whatever, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I caught Dragon Ball syndicated on Sunday morning, I think it was. This is Dragon Ball, not Z.
So you started with Dragon Ball, actually.
Well, yeah, but I didn't see the whole thing until much later because they only had 13 episodes back then. This is the early Kid Mark run. This is the Ocean run. And so the first episode I saw of Dragon Ball was the one where it was I think it was episode 11 or 12 when Goku, Bulma, Yamcha, they're all in Pilaf's castle and Goku is about to look at the moon. Yeah. That was my first exposure to Dragon Ball. And I wanted to see that show because I knew it was about a group of characters trying to get balls that grant wishes. I love treasure hunting shows. I used to love Scooby-Doo. I used to love shit like that. And then Dragon Ball Z started, and I knew that there was other stuff in between the Pilaf stuff and the Z stuff. You kind of, as a kid, because I didn't have internet in 1996, you start to like figure it out little by little, try to put the pieces together. And then when we did have internet, that's how you learn about Dragon Ball. And so that's where it started. That was the Ocean dub, the Ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z. And then, you know the story. It moves over to Toonami. We start getting those episodes. Then I started making friends with people in high school who were tape traders. And there were people that had Japanese Dragon Ball Z movies and episodes, and we start trading with each other. Me, this kid named Jeremy. There's this one kid, we used to call him Ostrich. I don't remember what his real name is. It's been years. Other people I would meet who this kid named, oh my God, like I'm forget this, bro. It's been decades. Anyways, we're trading these tapes. Yeah. Right, of like bootleg fan subs, like episodes that wouldn't be airing for years. Like I had the Gohan Kill Cell, I had that like 2 years before it aired. I had the entire Boo arc. When I got the internet at home, I found out I went to Internet Relay Chat and I downloaded the entire Majin Buu saga and I watched the entire thing before it even. And this is old school internet with the slow, not quite dial up, but early high speed.
Yeah,
like early high speed. And I downloaded, I got to watch all the Boo Saga episodes. And before it aired on Toonami, like 3 years before it aired. And then it started airing on the Latin American dub on Telemundo. And and then that's it. That's pretty much the story. And then you keep trading, and then you start getting, and then you get the whole series. And anyway,
that's so. Yeah. I'll break it up into pieces here. So now, as you say, you're a different person now. You can look at things from a different perspective now. We'll start with. We'll just do Dragon Ball all at once. How do you feel about Dragon Ball now compared to how you used to think about it years ago? If you could like go over that in just a cumulative way, because Dragon Ball Z is a little more different, so Dragon Ball is a little easier to do.
You're talking about, just to clarify, you're talking about original Dragon Ball?
Yeah, like you essentially your overview of the entire original Dragon Ball series. Like, do you appreciate it more now? Is there things that you appreciate, the little bits and pieces, like the storytelling in there more? Because I know people, they say they like Dragon Ball, but they don't like talk about it as much. Sometimes it's like Dragon Ball Z is the one that gets the most debates of all of them. People just kind of agree that Dragon Ball is good. They liked it. I was like, yeah, it is. Looking back now, I was like, man, it probably was even better than we remember. The way that they
Dragon Ball, I think Dragon Ball. Okay, well, first of all, let me say something real quick before I go into that. Me and Black and Fist talked about this recently. I actually do not like to split Dragon Ball and Z because in reality, not just with the original Akira Toriyama manga, even the Japanese production, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are one show. It's just that they in between an arc, they changed the name from Dragon Ball to Z. It's still one show. And I feel like when you watch it like that, from Dragon Ball, from Pilaf to Boo, when you watch it like that, that's the entire intended story from Toriyama. And so I don't even like splitting them, but they were split. Can't fight the reality of the situation. I think original Dragon Ball in many ways is better than Z, especially the second half. I feel like the second half, from the second half of Red Ribbon all the way to, I think peak Dragon Ball is the second half of Red Ribbon all the way to the Frieza saga. I think that is the peak of Dragon Ball. Now, I'm not saying there's not good stuff elsewhere, because there's things I love about the Cell saga, the Buu saga, the Pilaf arc, the 21st tournament. It's great. I do have an appreciation for original Dragon Ball, because you can tell Toriyama was trying to figure things out. Like, he was still trying to kind of figure out what story he wanted to tell. Wasn't really sure what was going on. I do think for the most part, it's more consistent than Dragon Ball Z. But my favorite fight and story arc of all time when it comes to the anime is Goku versus Piccolo at the 23rd tournament. And the 23rd tournament is my favorite arc of Dragon Ball. And here's why. The 23rd tournament, the last arc of original Dragon Ball, is literally Toriyama ties up everything. You could have ended the series right there, because Goku, after losing 2 tournaments and defeating the original Piccolo, now has to fight his offspring. Ten Shin Han's storyline with Suru Senin and with Tao gets closed off. Chi-Chi's brought back. Goku and Chi-Chi get engaged. Everybody grows up. Goku just got done training with God. There's all these, and then the very end, there's an episode where Roshi gives like a speech because Kami's like, these Dragon Balls have done nothing but cause problems. And Roshi's like, no, if it wasn't for the Dragon Balls, we wouldn't all know each other. We met and that right there is like perfect. Goku flies off with his wife. Piccolo's like, someday I'll return. And that's it. That's it. You could have ended it right there. 23rd tournament wraps up everything before it. But then Z comes along and has all kinds of cool retcons and ideas. I'm not saying I hate Z. It's just you could have ended it there and it would have been quality. But Z introduced a lot of the things that would become popular in the mainstream. More transformations. The fights were more bigger and just grander, and just time travel, magic, just space travel. Toriyama's imagination knows no bounds.
It's the same thing that Naruto went through. It's like they're throwing shurikens at each other, but at some point now they're throwing mecha spirit bombs at each other. You're like, how did we get here? So,
but the earlier stuff is more fun, because to me, like the martial arts aspect of original Dragon Ball, the counter moves. Hold on, I may have gone up a little bit here. A lot of the counters, the strategies, like, I don't know, man. I liked it more when it was a bit more grounded, to be honest.
Yeah. So looking at Dragon Ball Z, we'll start with the Saiyan arc. What is your overview of that arc, looking back on it now? Underrated, overrated, better than
anime or manga?
You could use them both if you want to. Or you can split them if you want to.
Well, I think the anime version of the Saiyan saga is the best arc of Dragon Ball Z. I think it's anime version. I did this. I did like a breakdown, like in my head, of the 23rd tournament and the Saiyan saga. Both of those arcs have it to where almost every first of all, the 23rd tournament anime version.
Yes.
Every single episode from the very first one to the end of the Piccolo fight is 9 out of 10 or better. Every single one. They don't miss. With the Saiyan saga, almost every episode is also 9 out of 10, but there's a couple that aren't. Specifically, there's an episode, I think it's Dragon Ball Z episode 14. I think it's 14. It's the one where Gohan's building a raft. I think that episode wasted too much time. It's more like a 7 out of 10. So that's the one episode that kind of brings it down a tad. But I think all the filler in the anime Saiyan saga, again, Z, we're talking about Z, not Kai. I love the filler. The Saiyan saga filler is the best filler in the entire series, I think. All of it, from Planet Arlia to Gohan and the Orphans. Princess Snake is the funniest episode in all of Z.
Oh, yeah, that one. What a classic, yeah.
Bro, there's so many great... The Saiyan history, even though it's wrong, the Gregory thing, so much good stuff. So, yeah, the Saiyan saga is, I think, the best arc in Dragon Ball Z. I really do. Not Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z.
Yes. So
if we're splitting.
And like you said before, since you want to do the manga anime, well, how about the Frieza arc then? Better than your
I like the manga version. I like the manga version of the Frieza arc more than the anime. And that's because the Frieza arc drags on too much in the anime.
And it's the ending Goku and Frieza fight that just goes on and on and on. Holy shit, man.
In the manga, though, in the manga, and I recently discovered this more, like I appreciated more when I did the Mangalorean series on Geekdom101 with Jordan. The art that Toriyama put in for Goku versus Frieza was phenomenal. I have forgotten how nice the art is. You could make an argument, and I would not disagree, but I have to think about it, that art-wise, the Goku versus Frieza fight is his best fight, art-wise.
Yes.
Obviously, like I said, bro, the manga, I think, is better than the anime when it comes to the Frieza saga. But Frieza is my favorite villain of all time, my favorite Dragon Ball character, because he's so much fun.
Wasn't that Toriyama's favorite villain too?
He changes his mind, bro. First he said it was Piccolo, then he said his favorite character was Mr. Satan.
Yeah, because I had that Broly DVD as a kid, and I watched this interview, and he said, "Oh, Frieza's my favorite villain." So I always kind of theorized in my head that's why he brought him back, because that was his favorite villain.
Toriyama was on a Broly DVD?
I feel like I watched an interview.
Toriyama's only done like 3 interviews in his whole career. That's why I was wondering.
Or maybe
unless maybe you read it.
Maybe I read it. Good Lord. Yeah,
or it could have been another person. But
I forgot Japanese
was it Funimation Broly DVD?
I think it was that one. Yeah, I had the one where it's the art of Broly going like this. That's the one I had. But you're right. It was probably someone different. What was it? What was I going to bring up? Oh, the Frieza arc. Which is crazy is because that's what I bring up. A lot of these kids these days, I'm going to be showing my age here. You guys don't know what it was like watching this freaking anime that we all know and love, week to week, episode to episode, waiting for each episode. Because kids these days, they just go on the fucking website, watch it all, binge it all to their heart's content.
Remember though, when it aired in America, it was every day. It's 5 days a week.
Yeah.
In Japan, it was week to week. In Japan, they had to wait a whole week. We got 5 episodes a day, and then we had to wait a year for the next season.
Yeah, because I remember I was in first grade after the Cell saga ended, and we had to wait like a long time to get to the Boo arc. It was a wait. They're playing and
September.
Yeah, and then Dragon Ball was reruns on reruns. Oh my god, man! Yeah, coming home every day and watching Dragon Ball Z. That was the life, man. I feel like,
and we're back to Raditz.
Always back to Raditz.
Over and over. God. Yeah, I remember that.
Damn, man.
They don't know, man. Nowadays, they can go online and watch Dragon Ball in freaking 25 different languages. Back then,
quality, condition, high definition, everything. We're watching shit with pixelated color art on the screen.
Yeah, especially if you were downloading the episodes with the slow internet. I remember I watched the first time I ever saw Goku versus Kid Buu. I watched it. It was Goku versus Kid Buu. I watched it with 10 megabyte RM real media file. It was unwatchable. The screen was this big, and it was skipping every 5 frames. I couldn't even watch it, but I didn't care because I wanted to see what I saw. I liked. How about that?
What? So you said anime, manga. What, the Cell arc? Better than you remember? Overrated?
I love the Cell saga. Think about the Cell saga, and I don't know which one I like more between anime and manga, but the thing about the Cell saga is it's got a lot of big moments. The Cell saga is kind of like this. There's a lot. Yeah. There's great moments, like tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of some of the best in the entire series. But it's not as consistent as the Saiyan and Frieza saga. There's logic holes all throughout the Cell saga. There's plot holes. There's a lot of things in the Cell saga where the writing takes a back seat to the hype moments, but the hype moments are very hype. So it's just how it is, bro. Like
do you believe it's because Toriyama was going to end the series, as everyone always keeps saying? He didn't really know how to end it. The whole evolving from the androids to Cell with the editors telling him you have.
Well, that was the editors.
Yeah.
It's just more so that like the time travel stuff had issues. The future timeline has issues. Like there's stuff in that arc that doesn't make a lot of sense or doesn't make sense at all. Whereas the previous arcs don't really have that problem. That one does. But what I was going to say was it's kind of like how I feel about Cobra Kai. So Cobra Kai, I think the best seasons of Cobra Kai as far as writing goes are 3 and 4. But season 5 and 6 have incredible hype moments, and the final 2 episodes of Cobra Kai are the best final 2 episodes of almost any show I've ever seen. With Dragon Ball, it's like, the Buu saga's got a lot of issues, but the ending where everyone has to give Goku Genki and everyone comes back and makes little cameos to help him beat Buu, that's perfect. That was a perfect ending, I think. I know some say that Gohan killing Cell is the perfect ending. In a way, I see that too. But the fact that in the fight with Boo, everyone has to help. They take Porunga. They got people on Earth. Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan's the one that saves the universe by convincing the people to give their energy. So that ending to me is a great, the great finale to the story, I think.
Yeah. And for me, when people were like, I didn't like the Boo arc growing up, I was like,
it's got problems.
It does. But Dragon Ball in general, what I really love about the anime is that even if it has problems, you love watching it so much. You're almost like, yeah, it's got problems. I love this no matter what it puts out to me. Keep in mind, guys, that could be good or bad, but this is one of the few animes where even if it has issues, I just don't care. It's not even just nostalgia. I just enjoy watching any version of it no matter what. Like, I'll even just like you'll scroll down on like Instagram or Facebook and you see these reels. Like, I'll see like what's that thing they did? It was called Dragon Ball Heroes. They'll have like special things. I'm like, man, even though it logically makes no sense, I don't care. I just love it that much. You know?
Yeah, that universe is fun. Like that Dragon Ball, being in the Dragon Ball universe is always a good time. And Toriyama throughout the years, even after the original manga ended, still was adding to it. I mean, even with Daima, the Demon Realm, which is something that was an idea Toriyama thought about in like 94, never really went back to it. The games, like the Japanese games like Xenoverse and Heroes and Online, really focus on the Demon Realm. Toriyama comes in and just redoes it all. Like, that stuff doesn't matter anymore. Here's the Demon Realm, and just totally fleshes it out. Like the Daima really, like, the whole point was to flesh out the Demon Realm, but I mean, Toriyama really added a lot of lore to the Dragon Ball universe base. I mean, dude, nobody could have guessed that the Demon Realm predates the multiverse. Like, nobody thought that.
Yeah.
And it does. That wasn't even how it was in the original guidebooks. In the original guidebooks, each universe had its own Demon Realm at the bottom of the round universe. It was at the bottom. It was always the negative side of the universe. In Daima, it's in like another dimension that's connected to all the multiverse thanks to the warp fish. That's all new stuff. None of that was in none of it was even hinted at in the old stuff.
What about this is gonna be a little controversial. I know a lot of people's opinions on this series goes pretty much. This is actually one of the only Dragon Ball series that I know is hot or cold. Either you love it or you hate it. What is your general overview now of Dragon Ball GT? Is it better than you remember? You still don't like it that much? What is your opinion of it?
I am nuanced when it comes to GT. I think here's my problem with GT is that I think a lot of people crap on it without having even seen it. Like, if you're going to say GT sucks, at least watch it and then tell me if it sucks. I wouldn't say vast majority, but a large percentage of Dragon Ball fans that shit on GT have never seen it, or they've only seen it dubbed.
Yeah.
And the dub for GT is absolutely horrible. I mean, the dub for GT is actually worse than Z. Yeah. And so until you've experienced the real GT, I would not, like, I can't take somebody's opinion seriously unless they've actually watched it. I don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is, but it does have a lot of problems. And the problems, I think, have a lot to do with the direction they were going in. Like it felt they didn't really know what they were doing. Like, they weren't really, they didn't have anything really planned out, but they weren't like Toriyama where he could just come up with something. They were, I mean, I don't know exactly how the creative process went, but they were just kind of lost there for a while.
It feels like they didn't know how to continue off of the hype that was the other one. Because you would feel like Dragon Ball and Z, that's like the peak. So a sequel coming after that's got a lot of pressure on it to perform. And it feels like their highlight of the show was like Super Saiyan 4. Like, that's it. It's like, oh shit. You know? So yeah. I feel like it gets into a point when you have all these legacy sequels to everything. It's like they don't know how to kind of make this one stand out and better than the previous one to like justify its existence. Like, you know how you have like movie conversations, even though you get good sequels, you're always like, did I really need that to the original? I think that's the real reason why people didn't call GT canon. Not because they knew what canon was. They thought it was so bad it's not worthy of being next to the other two. That's how I always theorized it. That's how I always
says. Yeah, Kwame says the same thing you say, that if people like GT, they would have said it was canon, which is why I tell people that there is no canon, because if your idea of what is canonical is what you like, why is it that what you like has to be the same as what I like? That's not how it works. You can't just make up your own canon. But no, you can make up your own canon, but at least say it's my canon. Right. Don't sit there and say it's the canon, because there is no the canon when everybody makes up their own canon.
Oh, you're saving the good stuff. I wanted the canon we're gonna get to. I didn't forget. So Dragon.
I mean that's it, man. But yeah,
Dragon Ball Super. Looking back now, not the 2019. I mean, like the anime. Do you remember? Do you think it's better than you remember? Overrated, underrated?
No, it gets worse with time. It really does.
Really?
It's got a lot of problems. Yeah.
I think for me and GT Super, if you ask me on any different day which one I like more, GT or Super, I probably it's a coin toss. I think both of them have their highest highs, but I think the low lows are to the floor. I think the main reason why I would edge Super a little bit more than GT is because I feel like in GT they really distanced Vegeta as a character and really didn't give him that much. In Super, at least he got to do a lot of crazy good things with Goku. Like Vegeta, people talk about Super bitching off Vegeta. Guys, in the freaking Shadow Dragons arc, Vegeta's sitting at home with Bulma, banging her, while he could be out helping Goku fight the Shadow Dragons. What Vegeta do you know would sit at home and bang Bulma instead of fighting people? He literally was mad at Bulma for telling him to come back down when he's fighting that big giant demon dude in that demon realm. This guy wants to fight people. This guy really wants to battle. You want to tell me he's sitting there and letting go?
Well, no. Remember what happened? Bulma said, if you don't come down here, I'm not gonna take bats with you anymore. And then he fucking came down. That's what happened. So I mean that is kind of a GT thing. But Super, look, here's the thing about Super. The Tournament of Power was fun. The Goku Black arc was great until the end. The end is horrible. It's embarrassing. It's the worst ending.
It's horrible. Anime hero bullshit that I've ever seen.
It's awful. The Universe 6 arc was okay, but also has kind of a bad ending. And then, of course, the retellings of the movies
I thought it was so cringe.
An embarrassment. Like, it's very hard for me to tell somebody, hey, watch this show, but don't start till episode 28, because that doesn't make sense. Like, if I like, that only makes sense to somebody who's a Dragon Ball fan. If I tell someone, hey, there's this show called The Sopranos, but skip the first 3 seasons. Why? There's this show called The Wire. It's great, but you got to skip the first season. Then it's not that great.
Right.
If you have to skip shit, it ain't that great. So I think that was a big problem. They should have never retold those movies. Then at least it would have been cumulatively much better if they did not retell those movies.
I had said this for years. I think, because I know there's a lot of, like you mentioned before, there's a lot of really dumb people out there. Because I just want to tell you guys, like, you know this from an anime point of view, and it's been a sentiment that's been echoed for years. The movies generally have a higher budget. That's why their animation looks better. And all right, if I got to watch 2 movies, and movie storytelling is a little bit more faster than TVs for the most part, right?
Way faster.
Way faster. I can watch 2 movies. That's fine. The fact that people said, no, I'd rather watch the episodes than the movie. The movies are faster, better storytelling, and it's better animation. Why would you want to? Them retelling the movies is literally a waste of time. I'll be honest with you, I did not start watching Super until that Champa arc. Why the fuck would I rewatch that? I could go watch the movies. The animation looks better too. Like, I saw the highlights of it. So the highlight is Vegeta fights Beerus on the boat in the movies. They're at Capsule Corp. It's like, is that the real reason to retell the movies? It's just a different point of view. Really? That's a waste of time.
And it's also Toei adding things that were not in Toriyama scripts.
Right? Just a waste.
But people say that the arcs are more canon, even though Toriyama was not involved in them, and he co-wrote or wrote the movie versions.
You know what's crazy, people? Your brains are going to be fried when I mention this. What's going to happen? Let's say Super does return. What movies are they going to retell? They're going to do that bullshit again. The Broly movie. I mean, I'm theorizing. The prediction. Maybe they retell the Broly movie. Maybe they retell the Super movie. You know, if they do that,
I can't comment on that.
I'm just saying they better not do that again. I don't know if they are or not. Just don't do that again, because that literally is a waste of episodes. It's a waste of people's time. Dude, the animation in those first episodes is literally what my wife's asshole looks like after 3 black guys went through her. Trash.
You let your wife get reamed by 3 black guys? Well, it's your bedroom shit, bro. It's a
couch. It's a couch. So
okay, couch. All right. All right.
I got some socks, man. They need to get pressed.
I am not a poly guy, brother, but some people are, and that's okay.
Well,
It's all good.
all jokes aside,
Yeah.
it's just like that's why I feel like Dragon Ball was losing me right there. Because, it's the Dragon Ball Renaissance I've mentioned. It's like, why are we wasting 2 arcs worth of storytelling in episode anime format on shit we could go what? If someone is that lazy, they can't watch an hour movie, that's your
Well,
fault.
I don't think it's I think they just wanted to, I don't know whose decision it was to do that. I think they wanted it all to be like one story, but ultimately there's still arcs that are split off anyway. So like, yeah, I don't understand that either. Like I thought, I think we all thought that they were gonna add more stuff that's actually important, not just make stuff longer. Like Beerus having dinner at that one planet and then killing everybody, like that stuff is pointless. Like,
Did they want to
you know
show
what
us
I
that
mean? Like,
Beerus is crazy? It's like, yeah, we got that from the movies. He's insane. Like, we already know that,
yeah, it's just I'm not a fan of that. So but yeah, it was a waste of time, and ultimately I think that hurt Super. But the Tournament of Power, that was probably what it should have been from the get-go. Everything improved by then. The animation improved, the production improved, it actually looked better, sounded better, and it has a lot of great moments in it too. So that I think was the best Dragon Ball we got from that era, not including the Broly. I still think that the Broly movie and Superhero are probably the 2 best things we've gotten since the Renaissance era. I think those 2 movies. Well, and Battle of Gods, because I love Battle of Gods.
So after Super, so let's
The movie.
Yeah, Daima, you said, did you overall enjoy Daima? I know that one has ups and like mixed reviews from people.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the lore, but I did not like the ending. I didn't like the ending. I didn't like what it did. I didn't like. I thought the pacing was a mess, in the middle. But a lot of that I think has to do with the fact that I had knowledge of things that were coming, and I was wondering when the hell we're gonna get to those things, because I was saying it in my reviews. If you go back, I'm like,
I remember.
Why are we wasting time here? Why are we wasting time here if we have more important things to worry about later? So I did feel the ending was kind of rushed, but I did like I think my favorite stuff from Daima was probably the episode, I think it was episode 17, where Goma fought the huge like group of Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Kudu, Tamagami 1. I love that. I had a great time watching that. So I enjoyed that a lot. I like that part, but I did feel like it. I like the animation a lot too. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It's how Super should have looked. But it's one of those things where it's like, it just still was disappointing compared to the old stuff.
So we did all the animes. Let's do the movies for a second. So those are those Dragon Ball Z movies that Toriyama considers in like a different dimension.
The old ones, the Koyama movies.
Yeah. So the first one was what? It was the Garlic Jr. one, right?
Are we talking about Z or the first movie?
Unless you count the Dragon Ball movies. I don't think I've ever watched the Dragon Ball movies. I don't think I have, honestly.
You should. The Dragon Ball movies work different though. They're part of a trilogy that's in like a separate continuity. So you can watch those. Now I'm not counting Path to Power. The 3 original Dragon Ball movies that came out when Dragon Ball was around is like an alternate universe. So instead of Pilaf, it's King Guru mess, and the Red Ribbon. People from the Red Ribbon Army are in the 3rd movie, but they're not in the Red Ribbon. Stuff like that. So I think 1, 2, and 3 work well as it's like a separate canon, but they work well as like a trilogy. So I enjoyed those a lot.
Okay.
Actually, Sleeping Princess and Devil's Castle is the most slept on and forgotten about Dragon Ball movie of all. I know a lot of Dragon Ball fans that have never seen it. I watched it last year, and 2 years ago, I watched it on stream, and I freaking loved it. Now I was high, and the dopamine levels were, but I love that movie. I freaking love that movie. So that might be like in my top 5 Dragon Ball movies of all time. And then Z, you start with the first one, which is Dragon Ball Z, the movie known as Dead Zone. Yeah, and that's a good one. That's a good little. I like that movie. I enjoy that. I enjoy the first The first 5 and 6 movies I really like. 7 is Super Android 13, and that movie has cool fighting and nothing else. It's not my favorite. Then comes Broly, the first Broly, which I liked that a lot, and BoJack I loved. Then Broly 2 and Broly 3 are trash, and then the last two, which is Janemba and Hirudegarn, I enjoyed those. I do like those.
What about the Lord Slug one? I didn't really like that one that much.
A lot of folks don't like that one. I think of the first 5, it's the weakest one of the first 5. It's all right. I don't hate it. Like I like a lot of the Goku Piccolo power up, Goku doing Kaioken times 100 and ripping through like Slug's chest. He's bleeding and like, there's stuff I like about that movie.
What Cooler's Revenge? That'll always be one of my favorite ones. I love that one.
That's I'm actually going to be streaming that. I don't know when you're putting this up, but I will be streaming the first Cooler movie this Saturday at 1 p.m. on Twitch. We'll be watching the high definition version of the first Cooler film with the best audio and video quality on Twitch, twitch.tv/BigDGeekdom101 at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you're there. We're watching the very one. I like that movie a lot too. It's a very simple movie in a good way.
Yeah, I like that simple Dragon Ball storytelling they do. Oh, this is just his bigger older brother because you killed his younger one. Works for me. Makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, Koyama. Because when you were talking about Lord Slug, the one thing that everybody says about that movie, and they're right, is I like this one when it was the Demon King Piccolo arc. It's like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same shit. But Cooler's a cool character because he seems to be a more serious, more like a more focused Frieza. And I like that they're different. I like that. Even though it's voiced by the same guy in the Japanese.
So for me, because I know when I was on your call show, I think people were talking about this in some semblance, but I remember my mindset with it was this. I think Dragon Ball should actually introduce all this stuff because like we never seen them interact. It'll be cool to see these cool interactions. Like that's why Dragon Ball Heroes, when he had these like cool transformations they never did in the original anime, I think they should do that. I think there should be like arcs where Frieza and Cooler interact. I think there should be arcs where.
So you're saying you want them to do what they did with Broly and reboot the character into the super timeline or the super era,
something like that. Yeah,
a lot of people want that.
I would like because I would like, hey, why can't Gohan go Super Saiyan 3? Why not? I would like if they.
Well, at this point, he doesn't need to.
Right, right. It's cool to see these characters not get these transformations in one place, but they have them over here. I would love if they introduced that. That'd be really fucking awesome. Like
Heroes did all kinds of wild.
Remember the episode where it's like they're fighting that guy Cumber, and then one Goku goes Ultra Instinct. The Super Saiyan forms are like, man, that's pretty cool. It's like, yeah, fucking hell, that shit's pretty powerful. Even that's how you know Super Saiyan 4 is weaker. The Super Saiyan 4s looked at that and went, yeah, we're probably not beating that. Ultra Instinct just on a whole nother level there.
Yeah, I mean, Ultra Instinct, I mean, it being a god technique is already like, you know what I mean? Like that right there. Yeah. Or god transformation or whatever. It's both. Yeah. A god state of being is just above anything else we've ever seen.
So the other two things, Moro, because people like me and you, we've read the manga arc of Moro. Do you feel like when people actually get the animated version of it, they're going to enjoy it as much as they say they want it? Because, you know, people keep saying, I would like the Moro movie in a movie. I would like it if it's a movie. It's like...
Not possible.
It's not.
Too long.
Yeah. Also, I don't feel like that would do it justice, honestly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Moro arc is too long. You can't. Yeah. It's literally impossible. Even if you cut stuff out, even if you trim stuff, it's not possible. It's too much story. No, I mean, but if you're talking about like...
Did you overall enjoy the arc?
The more are you talking about if Moro gets animated like as a TV series?
If the Moro arc and Granola arc get animated into like what people call Super 2.
I think it depends. I think it depends on I think it really is going to depend on the animation quality, because that has to be fluid for the fights to look badass and for it to like really get that Dragon Ball vibe. And it's going to also depend on if they add filler and how they spread out the pacing, because you know, a chapter, the way Toyotaro writes his chapters is they're monthly, not weekly, is they feel more like anime episodes in some cases. But there's also like, they could also add stuff. They could add more lore. They could make the fights longer. They could adapt it like what they did with Dragon Ball and Z, where they're adapting the story, but they're adding little things to kind of make the episodes equal out a certain runtime. I think it all comes down to that. I think if they adapt Moro and Granola and make them look like Super Episode 5, people are going to be pissed. I think people want Moro and Granola to have the tippy top Daima people on it because it almost deserves it. And I agree. I think Dragon Ball deserves to look like Daima, the Broly movie, and Superhero, depending on which parts from now on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like from now on, like no more of this like cheap animation, bro.
Because
no
I know
more.
you were pretty hit or miss on the Granola arc. I remember you saying you enjoyed the Moral arc overall, or is that
I
wrong?
did, but the ending, I didn't like the ending all that much. But you know what? After some time went by, I did enjoy it more. I did like it more. Like that, I think you have to let that one sit for a little bit.
Yeah, because to me, I don't know if people said this to you.
Granola, I did not like all that much. I'm sorry.
I feel like the moral. You're right. You're good. I think the moral arc feels like Dragon Ball Z to me. Has that classic much. Dragon Ball Z essence to it. That's why I think a lot of people like it because it's got a lot of nice little throwbacks there, but it feels like an arc these guys would have went through some years ago back in Z. You know, because I feel like because when people say it's not as good, if I argue just Super, Champa's arc is good. That's no. The Goku Black arc is You have the tournament power, which is all right. You know,
are you saying the argument is that Moro's not as good as Z?
No, when people say they think the moral arc is trash, it's in Super's context. It's like, well, what else is better?
I don't think it's trash. I mean, it's got issues, but I wouldn't say it's trash.
Looking at for me, if you're looking at everything, I think this is probably easily its top 2. I mean, what else is better than it? Like Granola, definitely no. That whole wish bullshit where Bardock's like, you can't ever. What's that? I forgot the wish. It was that thing where Goku can't die or whatever, some shit like that. Yeah,
it's not that Goku can't die, but yeah, he wished for his kids to grow up or whatever. Yeah, I hate that. I hated that about the Granola arc. The Bardock, it's the Bardock. Well, he said both. I don't remember, but the Bardock, the Granola arc. I don't like the Granola arc. I like parts of it.
Yeah,
like I like Ultra Ego, things like that, but I don't like it overall. The Moro arc is better, I think. Yeah, and you're right. It does feel more like Dragon Ball Z. Absolutely,
I think absolutely it does. If you're asking my personal, I think it's the best arc they did.
I think in Super, I think it's the best arc in the manga.
Super, yeah, because the tournament power is kind of fun. So it's grown on me over time. It has.
The anime version of the TOP I like more than the manga version, but the Moro arc is my favorite manga arc that Toyotaro did.
And now we're going to get to the big 2 that a lot of people are going to want me to ask. First one, because you brought up canon, so we'll start with that. Like you said to me earlier, people kind of make up their own canon. They think it's the real thing, and they have big egos and everything. I want to explain to people the argument you've always used the canon, because you've even told me you study Dragon Ball. You know how these people pretty much think. For anyone that's going to watch this that doesn't know you, could you, I would say just iterate from your standpoint this canon argument that's been going on forever, because like we mentioned with GT, people just don't think this thing's worthy enough to just be a part of the canon. What do you like you said before? Why do you get to decide that? What's canon? If people believe in sequels, why can't this just be a part of it? This is just not a good sequel. You could just use that logic, but they don't use that logic. They say it's not canon, which means they're trying to just throw it out entirely because they don't think it's that good enough. So
that's one group of people. See, the thing is, and that's ultimately that's the ultimate. I guess you can say the ultimate fallacy and the ultimately where their theories fall apart. Because they've never revealed what the canon is, because we don't have a statement from Toriyama, from Torishima. In fact, Torishima said there's no canon, which is what I've said. Yes, there is no official canon. It's just what people, so the Japanese have never put out what they consider to be canon. They've never done it. But yet people debate this all the time. Well, first of all, the fact they even care is that's a fallacy in and of itself. But I get that. Like, I actually understand why they would care. My thing is, when it comes to like people's arguments on the internet, every single Dragon Ball fan has a slightly different perspective of what is canon. And if everybody has a different perspective, that means that nobody's right. See what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't sit there and say, if there's just applying the scientific method, if there's 7 different theories and they're all different, that means that nobody's right until we find out who is right. And when it comes to canon, there is a right answer, believe it or not. And I'm not going to reveal what it is on this stream. I'm going to put it on my canon video, which will probably be out sometime next year, hopefully, because things are going to get more confusing come January. But when it comes to canon, it's a very nuanced conversation. And when I see somebody, when I go and I look at somebody in the Dragon Ball fandom say the word canon, I already know where they're at as far as their knowledge goes. Now, this is going to sound egotistical, but it's really not. People who have studied Dragon Ball, scholars like Derek Padula, who have written books and books on Dragon Ball, Myster Fusion, some of the people on Kanzenshu, people like Herms, people like Jordan, people like myself. I mean, I'm sorry, but I have 25 years studying this. We all say that there's no canon. So are we all wrong? The people who have, that's like if some, like, I don't know, 11th grader tries to argue the Bible to a freaking Bible scholar. You're going to look stupid. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's not even a situation where, and I know it comes off egotistical. It's not. I'm not trying to be egotistical, because when you study this, if you put in the work to actually study this franchise, you will come to the same conclusion we all came to. And that is that there is no canon, because the concept of canonical does not function for an Eastern audience. It's like people forget that Dragon Ball is made for Asian people, not for us. So the concept of canon is a concept that goes all the way back to the Catholic Church and the early church fathers putting the Bible together. It has nothing to do with Eastern culture. And so in Japan, a lot of series don't have canons because they don't care. That's why when somebody asked Torishima about canon, he didn't understand the question, because conceptually they don't understand what the word even means.
Yeah.
However, there is a similar word that the Japanese use, which is basically it translates to, like, the Japanese word for canon literally translates to true story or something like that, right? The problem with Dragon Ball is there are so many adaptations and so many variants. What's the true story? Which Battle of Gods is canon? The movie, the manga, or the anime?
Yep, that's where it gets to be kind of muddy. And then people go, but there's a canon, but there's
and then they argue.
Yeah.
And nobody's right. Nobody's right. Because you can make an argument for all three.
Mm-hmm. And see, Judge, just right there when you brought up the guy's name, Koriyama, right?
Toriyama?
Or
you talk about Torishima?
Torishima, right. So when the person is asking about canon, people, and he says there's no canon, is he wrong then? And you're the expert on it because you watch this? That's where it starts getting muddy.
See,
right?
That's where the ego comes in. And again, people say I have an ego. If you believe that you are more knowledgeable about Dragon Ball than the man who was not only the guy who discovered Toriyama, worked alongside Toriyama on the manga, spoke to Toriyama even after he left Shueisha, helped Toriyama get hired for Dragon Quest by Yuji Horii and Enix, Square Enix, and who actually was there when Toriyama was coming up with this. If you think that your word means more than his, who's got the ego problem?
Wasn't this the same editor?
I do my homework. I study this shit, and I have an ego because I very bluntly say there is no canon. Again, people are very sensitive. They don't like having their ideas broken apart. They treat Dragon Ball, ironically, this is the ironic thing. People in this fandom treat Dragon Ball like it's a religion. And what's so weird is that I've devoted my life to learning about Dragon Ball. I've devoted my career to talking about Dragon Ball. And yet I don't treat it like a religion. It's a job. It's something I also enjoy, but I'm never going to put Dragon Ball in a position where I'm not willing to learn more because I don't want to face the reality that there is no canon. On the contrary, I feel like the faster you accept there's no canon, the more you can stop worrying about it.
Right.
You know? Because anytime somebody's like, "Is this movie canon?" I'm just like they'll ask me. It's a very common question. Is this canon? And I'm just like this, like, dude. And then my response is, "There is no canon." Well, yes, there is. There was a guy. He's not well known. Nobody knows him, but he's in a Discord server that I'm in, a small one, a friend of mine server. If you're gonna okay, this is gonna sound, I don't care how it sounds. This is an aspect of my personality that I'm working on. If I know something and somebody else says I'm wrong when I know that I'm not, something goes off in my head like Gohan, where it's like, you must destroy this person. And that's not a good thing. But it happens with things like this. Not destroy, not like physically or even like cuss them out. No, I mean, like, you have to prove to them, like, how dare this fucking guy? How dare this guy question me? Now, that sounds egotistical. It's not. It's not. It's because I know what I'm talking about. It's no different than if I go up to Michael Jordan and I tell him I can shoot a basketball better than him. He devoted his life to basketball. I devoted my life to Dragon Ball. You're never going to see me go up to Lance or Derek Padula or Jordan, because there's a mutual respect between us, and we all kind of know. I disagree with Jordan on he made a very interesting point recently about how he believes that Ultra Instinct is the final transformation, and that all that's going to happen is Goku's going to like improve on it, and that it basically gets stronger after every time he uses it. I told him I like his idea, but I don't feel there's enough evidence to support that yet. We didn't fight. We didn't cuss each other out. It's real recognized as real. Like, I like your idea. I'm not convinced yet. Let's see what they do with UI in the future. This guy in this Discord server, he talks about canon. All I did was say there is no canon. It was like I shot his mother, like I kidnapped his daughter. It was, there's obvious. Everyone knows there's a canon. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Everyone knows what's canon. Okay, so tell me what's canon. And then he tells me, and then I'm already breaking the argument apart. And then when I ask him, I'm like, I break the argument apart like that, like very quickly. Everyone knows you're wrong. And all I said to him was, okay, find me a statement from Toriyama, from Torishima, or from Toei to back up what you said. One statement. I don't have to find it. Everyone knows. You need to prove to me. Because if everyone knows, then that means it had to have come from somewhere. The guy wound up blocking me. Yeah. I don't care because he's an idiot. Like, he's actually like an idiot. He's a moron. Yeah. But like this, and then it got more. Then actually, ironically enough, Quaman jumped into, because he was there. Quaman started arguing with him after me, and he goes, "Bro," and this is what he told him. He's like, Toriyama's editor. This is right around that time. He's like, Toriyama's editor just said that there is no canon. Who the hell are you to argue with a guy who actually worked on Dragon Ball, who is responsible for discovering Akira Toriyama? None of us would even be here if it wasn't for that guy. And it was like, no, he has no authority. You're disrespecting Toriyama if you think that he has authority. I'm like, no authority. He was Toriyama's boss for years. But like, when you're arguing with somebody who doesn't know anything, the worst thing you can be in this world, bro, is somebody who's a moron who thinks they're smart. That is the absolute, that right there actually gets under my skin.
Or
when
to tackle
fucking dunce, bro. But you think you're freaking Oppenheimer. And that's why, going back to what I said earlier about gratitude and humility.
Yes.
Geekdom's got such a big ego. He's talking about humility. You have to humble yourself.
Right.
If Derek Padula, whom I respect, I got all his books back there. There's things that he knew about Dragon Ball that I learned from him. I found an error in one of his books. And I reached out to him and I said, this is actually factually incorrect. It's this. He was like, oh shit, I'll fix it in the reprint. There was no fighting. There was no, everyone knows. No, it's That's ego.
Well,
That's ego.
so I want
When
to add
you're
to
a
your point.
dumb fuck and you
Yeah.
think you're smarter than everybody else, that's ego.
Because I want to add to your point, because you know you brought up kids earlier and they're having TikTok brain.
This guy's a grown man, by the way.
I've actually figured out how people get to that point of view of their life. It's not even actually growing. It's actually the way they're grown up. They grow up never being challenged on any idea, always told they're right. And the moment anyone tells them they're wrong, their whole persona just breaks down. I feel like not enough people in life have had things challenged for their ideas, what they were going to say, or they've never been in any actual, not fist fighting, like actual arguments. That's where that always comes from. People, someone not being challenged enough and going, and since no one challenges them, they just assume they're right. And then they go, well, I'm always right because no one challenged me. It's like maybe someone could be a lot of things. People are tired. They want to deal with you. It's a lot of the reasons why someone does want to argue. Like if I got a girl,
that, and I'm glad you said that, because that's something that, again, I'm 41 years old. Oftentimes what I do lately is when I start getting the inclination that you're a moron who thinks that they're a genius, I go to block. And it's not because I'm scared of you. There's nobody. There's not a single man walking the face of this earth in this fandom that I'm afraid of. Not a single one. I'm just being real with you. None of these guys, I don't sweat any of these guys. None of them. Because all the smart ones that are like researchers, I'm friends with all of them. Well, not all of them, most of them, because you've got elitists as well who I don't like. Some would say I'm elitist, I'm more of a purist. But like what I'm saying is, once I get the inkling that somebody is like that, it starts to get me to hit the block button. I'm not afraid. I just don't want to read any more of your stupid bullshit. There was a guy a few months ago who tried to tell me that if it wasn't for America, Dragon Ball would not be popular worldwide. And that's one of the stupidest. Not only is that like straight up like almost racist in a way, like that's almost racist. Like you think that one of the things I hate, dude, and this goes back to something we talked about earlier, is Americans are so damn egotistical. Like this is the best country in the world. You know, look into your history. Actually look into your history. There's problems here. Again, I'm not shitting on America, but I'm saying like this pride that ends up being stupid and ignorant.
Yeah.
And so
these are people that have no skin in the game. These are people that didn't go through the actual hardship back then. You know.
Well, it's not that. It's but in this situation specifically, it's like I tried to be. I always lately have tried to be somebody to educate and say, look, Dragon Ball in Latin America is literally, not figuratively, literally 10 times bigger minimum. When Dragon Ball Super was on the air, my reviews got 100 to 200,000 views. Latin American tubers were pulling 1 million plus on their fucking reviews. Not even news, reviews. Dragon Ball sold out a bullfighting arena for Jiren versus Goku with like 50,000 people.
Yeah, crazy.
When does that ever happen here? Latin America, Dragon Ball in Mexico, in Honduras, and you want to know what's interesting about those fans? Because I'm Hispanic, I can talk to them. Because they didn't grow up with a butchered dub, they know more about the series. They're smarter. They have actually seen original Dragon Ball. They can talk to you. You know how many GT fans there are in Latin America? It's actually kind of wild. Like GT's not hated down there. It's not as loved as Dragon Ball and Z, but it's not hated.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is, like, I go to block because I don't have time to waste. If I'm telling you facts that can be looked up, researched, look at the numbers of what Dragon Ball does outside of the US, and you're still on this. There's a quote that goes, facts don't care about your feelings.
It does, from someone.
Some people misuse that quote, but it's applicable here. Like, you're not going to be able to argue that Dragon Ball became successful because of America when we have evidence to the contrary, because you have some kind of weird patriot pride over this country. Like you're gonna look you look stupid.
Well, it's
like
even
you're the reason why the rest of the world laughs at us. You people like you who think that America, like, and it's objectively false. Objectively, you can say America had an influence in the English speaking world, but but again, people who are egotistical about America think that every country in the world needs to be like us. Who the fuck do you think you are, bro? That you think that our laws should be exactly the same in South America, in Asia? Like, it's just so disrespectful. And the funny thing is, if you actually go to Japan, and I think everyone should go to Japan at least once, even if you're not a fan of anime, you will come back to America and you're going to be like, wow, why can't we be like them? It's clean. That people leave you the fuck alone. There's restaurants everywhere with like pictures of the food. People are friendly. They don't rip you off.
Isn't crime way down over there too?
There's almost no crime over there. Like there's the Yakuza, obviously, but they don't have a gun problem. Like, it's the thing that shocked me the most is just how peaceful it is. Like, okay, you know how like when you're walking down the street and it's like 2 p.m., everyone's at work and it's like very peaceful and quiet. That's how it is over there almost all the time. Now, Tokyo does get busy, but people aren't like chattering all that much. They're just trying to get to where they want to go. It's just very quiet, very relaxed. Like I love that country. And I'm not a weeb, but I love that country. And I think everyone should go at least once. Everyone should go at least once.
Weird when that person uses that argument to say that we made Dragon Ball big, not realizing how dumb they actually sound, because the way that Toonami got big, they imported. Essentially, you could look at it from a mindset of like, for average people that want to understand this, Toonami imported that over here. Essentially, you could look at it that way. We got that shit from them. We didn't make that. The animes, even just from how we've grown up, even just from that, how could we have made it big if we got it from someone else? We didn't even make the shit.
What you just said is an objective fact. That's objectively true. You can't argue that. There's no argument. Like if you argue with what you just said, you're basically trying to rewrite history. That's just a fact.
But this is why I think people are stupid, because a lot of people found the Dragon Ball for English dub. People didn't know it was on Toonami, and they imported Japanese shows there. That's how you found them. So how could we have made it big when we're taking it from someone else, or licensing, obviously? But you guys get the lingo here. Average people are really retarded.
No, bro. And the funniest thing about that guy in particular that said that is, he shows the Broly success of the Broly movie, and he's like, look at how much more money America made than Japan. Like 5 people were like, honey pie? Have you tried converting the yen over to dollars? And the minute you converted, Japan made 3 times more. And it's like, you're so fucking stupid. And you have your head stuck so far up your fucking culo that you think that you actually aren't even willing to do the simplest math to prove your own. And that's the thing. That's what I do take pride in when it comes to my content, is that I do the research. And if I screw up, I tell you I screwed up. But I'm willing to take the time to do the research to make sure that when it's the finished product has accurate information, to where if somebody wants to go and double check it, they can. And there have been situations where I've had disagreements with people about things I've stated. But it's not like, but when I say something on a video, even if you disagree, you're going to know why I said it. You're going to understand my mentality of it, like why I believe that this is this and that is that. And even if you say, oh, one of the things me and Jordan laugh at is it's not that deep, when it really is that deep. And that's another thing. The American fans who think Dragon Ball has no story, just
so the thing that I told you this on your show when I talked to you, this one always makes me angry. It doesn't. It's really annoying. It's the fact that I know people aren't paying attention as much as they say they are, and then they argue with any level of authority as if they did. And I'm telling you, it's not an ego thing for me. I can tell if you were paying attention based on what you tell me. That's what I told you on your show. I'm not making this up. This has been going on for years. People literally think that in that Broly movie you brought up, not the Super one, the original one, Goku.
Let me guess, the cut.
They brought him. The other one, they think Goku got a little power up from his friends.
Oh, that's right. You did say
Even
that,
though
sorry.
you could argue it's silly, he got some anime plot bullshit. Okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
The notion that is little when Broly, throughout the entire movie, I would argue he used maybe 2% of his actual power with them. I think he just beat the shit out of them. He saw Goku get that power up and went, wait a minute. Where'd he go? He actually went, whoa, that's the villain who whooped their ass the entire movie, saw that and went, I should probably pay attention more to this guy. How in the world could your brain rationalize that was little? The character literally maybe barely used 5% of his fucking strength. That argument's going on for so many years, and I'm just like, wow, you people are stupid. Just say you weren't paying attention. Just say you were wrong. It's fine. But people in Dragon Ball, like you mentioned,
and that's the real ego, is nobody is man enough to admit they were wrong.
The character literally goes, where did he get all this energy from? It's
okay to be wrong.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And I'll admit this about the Broly movie too. I thought Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from the Cell arc was stronger than Broly. Then come to realize he probably isn't. Probably
it depends because movie scaling is always higher. So yeah, I used to think like you, and then when I thought more about it, it's like, yeah, but movie scaling is usually
isn't it like higher just based off like, you know, the stronger
because
villains?
there's crazy feats and just it never matches up. It doesn't match up to the time period that was going on in the TV show. Yeah, but when you accept that, it kind of is cool. In some ways, it kind of makes the movies sort of like their own little like
fun event,
like almost like a bonus, like bonus content. Like it's not the main story, but it's like, hey, look at this like alternate universe or whatever.
Yeah, and then you get all the people, but people say, but Broly wasn't trying. Guys, literally, this is how you know people are paying attention to Dragon Ball. From the very first arc of Dragon Ball, this has always been a problem in Dragon Ball in general, just Dragon Ball Z. Characters are overconfident and they don't finish the job. Raditz literally was villains, right? Raditz was so much stronger than Goku and Piccolo when he first fought them. He quite literally could have just straight up killed them. Characters, villains from the inception of this and of Dragon Ball Z
does it a lot.
Yeah, villains from the inception of the show are overconfident. They don't take things seriously and they lose. I.e., one of you guys' favorite villains, Cell, did that quite a bit. You know, Frieza did this quite a bit. Raditz from the first arc did this. But people think that Goku was stronger than Vegeta in that Saiyan arc. No, he wasn't. Vegeta, factually, power level wise, was stronger than Goku. It wasn't that Goku was stronger. Vegeta was surprised that a low-class Saiyan could fight him on an even level, even though he knows he's stronger. Keep in mind, we know Vegeta was stronger.
And don't forget, and this is something you really got to pay attention to when you watch DBZ episode 30. Goku couldn't do nothing on Vegeta without using Kaioken 1 and 2.
I remember.
And then he was, he had to use at least a double Kaioken to even get even with him. And then when he used the triple Kaioken, he started to win, but it was still like in base.
Yeah, the power level
could have mopped the floor with him in base.
Yeah, because I actually had to look this up. People say power levels don't matter, guys. Goku's power level is like 8,000. You know what Vegeta's is? It's like 18,000. Vegeta for sure was stronger. People say, but he struggled. He was surprised someone on that level could match him. It wasn't that he was weaker. Actually, if Vegeta was stronger, why did he turn into a great ape and just mop the floor with him? Was he that much weaker? Actually, when he was not a great ape, he was still that much stronger. Keep in mind how much these villains hold back and are overconfident. This has been a thing since the show started. So this notion that Broly just obviously was weaker, it doesn't make any sense logically. It makes no sense logically when you, like you said before, when people don't pay attention, they just miss stuff. The very last thing I want to cover is the thing you brought up earlier also as well, which is the English dub sub thing. So I know you get a lot of heat on Twitter whenever you post like the English dub for Dragon Ball is just not that good. And keep in mind, your opinion, that's fine.
Nostalgia. Nostalgia is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, and you pointed out many examples of it. You know what's crazy, dude? After you pointed that out, I tried to watch a Yu-Gi-Oh sequel series dub. It was horrible. It was actually trash.
Like, I've heard bad things about a lot of the 4Kids dubs are the ones that are really hated.
Yeah,
way more than Funimation.
Oh yeah, I'm being honest, with you guys. I think Yu-Gi-Oh Duel Monsters is better sub than I can understand if you watched it sub.
A lot of people say that. Yeah, it's not just you.
Better. Yeah, like GX dub is trash. I'm kidding, guys. I just rewatched this stuff because it plays on loop. You can find a lot of stuff English dub on loop on YouTube. I would say this: if you want to truly challenge someone's opinion on something, how about go rewatch it and see if it holds up for yourself? You know why I know they won't? Because they know it won't hold up. Because this is the thing in life called an epiphany. When you get to a mindset of something, or you have this thought process that you were potentially wrong, you'll go like, "Wow, I was an idiot." Yeah. you should probably in life view stuff and see stuff to keep your mindset updated. It's up, you can have your own opinion, but the way that people haven't seen something in 30 years and go, no, it holds up. It's like, you haven't seen it in 30 years. How would you know if it held up? Also, when you were a kid, how do I know you were paying attention to it? And you just weren't having it out of the background when you were just playing with toys. This logic that we're all paying attention the same way is stupid, because I know, because I talk about League of Legends here and people say, MSK, those games didn't go all you said. I've watched the games. I know the games. I know you didn't, because you can't even tell me what champions they drafted. That's how I know you didn't watch the game, right? So I'll ask you. You know, you talked about the English and sub, the English dub and the sub and everything. When you bring up it's not as good, people just act like their whole life just melts down. Even if you're just saying, hey, I don't think it's that good.
But it's not even about it being good or not. It's more so what it really is. And I have to figure out, I think I'm gonna make a video on this at some point next year. But I have to really hammer, because next year will be the anniversary of the Z-Dub, because the Z-Dub started in 96. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna do that.
Fuck, I was 2 years old when that started. Holy crap.
Yeah, I was 12. I got 10 years on you.
Oh,
so
God. I'm old now, man. I'm all broken apart.
I'm 40, bro. I'm 41, bro. I'm not.
My back's giving out. My knees are out. My knees weak.
There's no way I'm in better shape than you, bro. There's no way. So what was I gonna tell you? So it's not even about better or worse. It's more so the fact that, okay, I'll give you the explanation like this. Yesterday, I streamed the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, which I saw when I was 5 years old, 3 times in the movie theater. This movie, people would say, and I say people because I don't think many people say this, but it's too violent for kids. There's weapons. There's people getting knocked out, thrown around. There's profanity in that movie. The movie has adult themes with fathers and sons. I was 5 years old, had no problem understanding the movie. And keep in mind, I had only been speaking English for a few months at this point. I was just learning English still. Had no problems following the movie. It didn't make me a violent kid. I didn't go out there and stab someone. I just went to a movie theater and saw this awesome Ninja Turtles movie that did not insult my intelligence. The Dragon Ball, the reason why I take issue with the Dragon Ball Z English dub is because Barry Watson and Gen Fukunaga, when they were adapting Dragon Ball Z from its Japanese source, instead of actually interpreting it for an English audience, instead of actually just adapting it for an English audience, they dumbed it down. They would change lines. They would add lines. They would add music where there was no music. And the reasoning behind that, the issue's more so not the dub itself, but what the dub represents. The dub represents that Funimation does not respect you. They think that you're a stupid ADD kid who can't understand subtle storytelling and can't understand characters, so they have to spoon feed everything to you. And so what I counter with is, so why is it that kids in Japan have no problem understanding Dragon Ball? Why is it that kids in Mexico have no problem understanding Dragon Ball? It's only the Americans that have a problem. I have answered questions. I hate to say this, but it's true. I've answered questions throughout the years about Dragon Ball that my friend's 12-year-old son knows how to answer. And it's like, if there's a 12-year-old kid that can understand a cartoon better than you, bro, like, come on, man, come on. I'm not making fun of them, but it's like, dude. And the issue with the dub is that it's incredible amounts of censorship and the changing and bastardizing of Toriyama's story. It disrespects Toriyama. It disrespects Koyama objectively. You can't argue this. Again, we're talking about objective, subjective. Right. You are changing Toriyama and Koyama's vision by changing it. That's the part, is that I don't like the fact that these Americans are okay with having a product dumbed down for them and are okay sipping on the milk of something that is insulting to your brain capacity. But you know what's funny? And I'm going to say something now that's going to really piss people off. I said this to Black and Fist the other day. I said it to this guy, Medios. Here's the truth. About 80% of the dub defenders that I've talked to are actually very dumb. And I'm not saying that because they like the dub. Their logic is flawed. The way they type, the way they speak, just it comes off like somebody who dropped out of school in 7th grade, and sounds fucked up for me to say, but I'm just telling you real experiences. Like, dub fans are really dumb sometimes. Not all of them, but they are. Most people, if they go to sub and watch it from the very beginning, from Pilaf to Boot, and they hear Nozawa's performance all the way through, Nozawa becomes their favorite Goku, and they never go back to the dub. Because once you have that ingrained in you that this is the real Dragon Ball, you never go back, because it's objectively better, because it's not dumbed down. It doesn't insult your intelligence. You're like, wow, this is way better. I didn't know that that's what happened there. I didn't know that's what that meant. I didn't know that. And that is my ultimate problem with the Dragon Ball Z English dub, is that it is literally created as a dumbed down version of Dragon Ball, because they believe that American kids were too stupid to watch Dragon Ball that didn't have music playing all the time. That's a fact. We have interviews to prove this from An America magazine in 1996.
Yep. The same thing happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! When I tell people, hey, the sub is better. Yeah, same thing with 4Kids did. Because people will go, man, I watched the Japanese version. This is way better. I wonder why. Main reasons why 4Kids wasn't liked. Censorship.
And for the record, that doesn't mean every dub is bad. It's just there are some that are.
It's just their specific way of dubbing is horrible. Because people always do this argument of like, but I can't watch a sub because subtitles and I don't understand their language. So you're just saying that's a little bit lazy people do. That's like saying I shouldn't go to work. Yeah, that's like saying I don't want to go to work because I don't want to walk. That'd be like retarded, right? Just the way that sounds is. I always feel that's just lazy. And I always get the arguments with Yu-Gi-Oh too. It's like, well, I can't. It's always the excuses. I can't watch it. I saw my wife get banged by my brother, and my eyes are blind. It's like, okay, dude, just stop. What are you talking about? It's always excuses.
I mean, if you genuinely have bad eyesight, bro,
right? Yeah.
I get it. I get that, but I mean, most people don't. Most people, it's always an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
Like, I remember recently when I was trashing the dub on Twitter, what's gotten into you, bro? And I'm like,
oh yeah, someone did say that.
I'm like, I have had this opinion for 25 years.
What's
gotten into me is the fact that I'm tired of people fucking watching a bastardized version of Dragon Ball. That's what's gotten into me.
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to feel that way? Or do I have to fucking coddle you? See, that's why I get so much heat, because I'm not a fake nice guy. I've never been a fake nice guy. I will never be a fake nice guy. YouTube is filled with fake nice guys who are there to pamper your pussy. That's never been me. I'm going to be me. That doesn't mean that I'm a dick. I'm not a dick, but I'm not a fake nice guy. Oh, well, yes, everything's okay. No, that's not me. That's not me, bro. I'm not. I had too much respect for you to treat you like a fucking, like you're an idiot. Like you're a little kid.
You know what I think it is? I think people assume that you're trying to do it for like money, because people keep saying you're only doing this for money. You're only doing this for money.
I don't get it that much. I don't get it that often anymore.
It used to be a big one back in the day.
Every YouTuber gets that. Every single YouTuber.
Yeah, but they think you're literally, hey, I just don't think the sub is that good and it's bastardized, but you're just only saying that for money. What if I just actually genuinely have that opinion, though?
But wait. No. But think about it. There's nothing about me saying the sub is better. How is me saying the sub is better going to get me a one more cent?
I don't even know. Their logic doesn't even work.
That's what I'm saying. Like that. That's not even a logical. Like, somebody like that would just get blocked because you're just too stupid to interact with me.
Yeah. And then the other thing we talked about that they wanted a little bit more go into, because it was a fun logic you had, where it's like, because it happens in the comic book industry too, where like people feel like if you didn't go through the proper channels, you didn't deserve this. And I feel like a lot of people talk to you that way, which is so weird. It's like, why does someone have to go through a proper channels to make them seem legit? What are these proper channels?
What is the proper channel? I don't even know what that means. What are you talking about?
So it basically, in the comic book industry, it works like, hey, if you didn't work at Marvel and DC, or you didn't get on the right book, you didn't really do it the right way. And it's like,
I don't think I've ever gotten that from someone.
Really? Okay.
And if I have, I never read it. It's definitely not something that's like that I've heard a lot. Like, if somebody did say that, I haven't read it. So
or the sentiment the other way I can flip it is go like, they feel like your success isn't deserved, because I feel like a lot of people.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's always, well, he only made it because of blank. She only made it because of blank. It's not, oh, well, I spent most of the run of Dragon Ball Super working for most of the day. No, it's not that. They only made it because of blank. They only made it because of blank. And that's envy. I mean, that's just pure envy. They can deny it all they want to. That's literally envy.
Yeah.
Like there's content creators that make content that I know it's stupid. There's content creators that make content that I absolutely do not like. I despise the content. It's dumb. It's not for me. Yes. But at least I somewhat understand how, like, what people see in it. Mm-hmm. I try to anyways. There's still some weird ones. Like there's a girl on YouTube that eats chicken nuggets and somehow gets millions of views. I mean, YouTube is wacky like that. But
yeah, the girl, when that girl was getting fucked by a dog and she was getting millions of views, I was like, what? People are weird.
That can't be on YouTube. That had to be an OnlyFans, bro.
Yeah. So I'll ask you, what are your favorite fights from Dragon Ball?
Well, I mentioned the earlier
Goku Piccolo one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number one. That's my number one. I like
no, not fights, because that's your generic. Favorite transformations. I know that one is always a nice one.
The forms or the transformation scenes?
Oh, sorry. Like I know you mentioned one of your favorite ones was like Gohan turning Super Saiyan 2 against Cell. So something like that.
That's my favorite Dragon Ball Z transformation scene. Yeah. I mean, it's got the freaking song, the Spirit versus Spirit. Yeah, that's my favorite. I like all of them. I mean, I like the SS3 one, SS4. Obviously the SS4 one in Daima was crazy dope that Takahashi made. And the Ultra Instinct Omen original one, that whole episode 110 of Super, that was the peak of Super in my opinion.
Man, I still remember being a kid and watching, because in the Dragon Ball Z dub, you know how they had that playing the and Goku goes Super Saiyan at the end of it? I didn't know what that was. And because I know Vegeta explained it in the show, he was like, this is a Super Saiyan everything. But that moment when he first did it, it was like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And then Trunks is like, all right, I'm just a time traveler. I just slice people up and I'm a Super Saiyan too. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, then, I can only imagine how crazy it would be for people back in the day who like in Japan, who didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. And like, man, I remember when Vegeta, it was dubbed, like when Vegeta first did it, I was like, wow, he finally did it. This shit-talking piece of shit finally did it. And then Gohan gets it. I think the only Super Saiyan transformation for me that really never hit over time, it might be that original, but maybe Battle of Gods when he went Super Saiyan God. Because I feel like in the movie they kind of cuck him out of it, because he gets the God power inside of him when he's fighting Beerus anyway, and they kind of do away with it oddly later in their fight. Like,
well, it made sense. He ran out and then he got it. He tapped into it again at the very end. But I love that transformation sequence. They play that really nice haunting music, and he's floating up, and I thought that was beautiful. I love that movie.
And the other one is when Goku went, because he didn't do it for long. That whole grade 4 transformation he did in front of Gohan, but he never really went into that. What else won?
You mean grade 3?
It's a grade 3.
We had when he was demonstrating to Gohan why those forms don't work. Yeah, I like that because he was explaining. I like that because he was explaining to the audience, why Trunks is about to get his ass kicked by Cell. Like, he was telling you, like, no, this is. And then the fact that Cell picked up on it too, shows that Goku and Cell were equal when it comes to their. I love that writing. No, I love that because it made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. And it's weird because like fans will go, why did Goku throw Gohan in? They still say it to this day, why did
Gohan was the only one that could beat Cell?
He saw him do it.
Pretty obvious.
He saw him
again. If my friend's 10-year-old kid knows that and you don't, bro.
Yeah, because people will say that they're like, why did Goku just throw Gohan in there? Well, he quite literally trained with him and saw him go Super Saiyan 2. Now, if he just threw him in there like
nobody else could have beat Cell but Gohan.
Yeah. And like he had a visual representation of it. It's like, people truly think that I don't know what people's brains go. It's like they somehow get from A to Z without knowing that there's letters in between that actually happen too. It's actually insane.
I do think a lot of people, like you said earlier, don't actually watch the show. I think they just I think that they just watch the clips on YouTube and play the video games, and then they don't really watch the show or pay attention, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my biggest heartbreaks, but it was also one of my biggest triumphs, is I made a video called How Vegeta Turned Super Saiyan God, and the video did over 1 million views.
I remember that one.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and the problem with that is it's the most obvious shit, and it's explained in the series directly. And I even said it when the episode aired, and yet the video did 1 million views, which means that there were 1 million people who didn't know and came to me to know, which I'm happy about. I'm not complaining about it, but it's like, you should not have to have a YouTuber explain this to you, dude.
Like
you
the Mystic Gohan one, I kind of understand to a certain extent. I remember when you uploaded
that one's more complicated, though.
Right. Yeah.
Super Saiyan God is simple.
Yeah, because even for me, I didn't know. Okay, so for me, the way the dub did it, I didn't know he was constantly in mystic form. But he's not, though. That's a transformation he goes through. But
they
it's not
kind
really
of changed it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like when they say that Mystic Gohan's, I think people think that he was constantly in it after that. That's what I thought. By the way, the dub did it. I didn't know it was a transformation. I was like, but that's a transformation? That's kind of all right, I guess. I didn't see that originally. Maybe I was wrong. But last few things. I know we had a great conversation here. First thing is, do you have anything planned coming up that you would like to let the audience know about?
I mentioned on Saturday. When's this going to go up?
Oh, this is going up today.
It's live right now. I'm dumb. That's right, because it says live up here. Yeah, Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I will be streaming the Cooler movie and 2 Dragon Ball Z episodes right after. Revisiting Dragon Ball Z in HD. It's a series I've done on Twitch. I have 113 streams, something like that. And it's basically, we start at the very beginning, which we have already, Dragon Ball Episode 1. And we're working our way through the entire series in Japanese, in high definition. Most of it's color corrected with the original broadcast audio. These are things you're not going to get anywhere from Toei or Funimation. You absolutely will not. What I have, the versions of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z that I have, blow away anything on Crunchyroll, any Blu-ray that they've ever put out, anything. It doesn't exist because it was done by fans. And the only place to watch that is with me on Saturday. And we also obviously talk about the episode, and I give you tidbits and production information. Then this Saturday, we're doing the Cooler movie. A lot of interesting behind the scenes information on that movie, because that was the movie that was supposed to have the red-eyed Super Saiyan, and they wound up changing. So that's interesting. Toriyama did draw the designs for that movie too, which he didn't do for every movie. So we'll be talking about that. And then 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. And so that's coming up on Saturday. I don't know what else I have going on this week. I did record a video coming out very soon called Dr. Doom versus Dragon Ball. How far would Dr. Doom go if he had to face off against Dragon Ball characters?
Those are always fun. Yeah, I like those.
That may surprise you. Yeah, Chuck and I did it. That may surprise you, because we talk about all the different Dooms, like God Emperor Doom, regular 60s Dr.
You did one
Doom.
about Black Adam versus Orange Piccolo, I think, back in the day. It was a few years ago, I think.
I think I don't remember if it was Orange. It might have been. We definitely did Thanos versus Goku when
I remember that
when Infinity War was coming out. This is like a sequel to that video, since it's like the next big Marvel threat.
Yeah.
So which is because the Doomsday trailer is rumored to come out sometime this month. They're saying that in days we may get the Doomsday trailer.
And the Supergirl one's coming out too soon.
Yeah, and that movie, I didn't think that was coming out so fast. So yeah, but yeah, that's what I got going on. Like I said, I don't really know what's going to be on the YouTube channel. I might stream a little bit, but I don't know yet. So we'll see. Stay subscribed and make sure all notifications are turned on, and I'll have something.
Last thing is
January is the big month.
Yeah, because January is going to be, I won't say what makes or breaks the fandom, because as you said, with these dub watchers in English, they're here for life. They ain't leaving. So as much as people say they don't like Dragon Ball, I know for sure you're still watching that shit right now on your computer. So you ain't going anywhere. They ain't got no life. What are they going to do? Go outside and get a job? It demonstrates to me you don't even shower properly. So
yeah, that con goers, yeah.
It's so crazy how people are like, I'll beat up this person. I'm like, bro, you don't even shower. People would run away from you because you stink. You don't wash your ass. So it's like, last thing is, do you have any shout outs you can give to anyone in particular, and anything else you want to say before we head out?
What do you mean shout out? Like
anyone that's helped you maybe throughout your career, anyone that you wanted to highlight that was there for you when you needed the most, essentially.
Well, I do want to thank the people who stuck with me for 10 years, thank you for changing my life. That goes for anybody behind the scenes or anybody who was a viewer. Like that means a lot to me. Like it really does. Cause that's another thing too, is a lot of YouTubers sometimes lack confidence. Not all the time, but like they question themselves a lot. And you know, the other day, like maybe 2 weeks ago, I posted on X that I had a health issue come up earlier this year, which I did. And the health issue was so serious that I actually did my will. And that's because I could have died. I didn't die, but I could have died. And there were a lot of people saying a lot of kind things, and that meant a lot to me. And I'm
glad you're still here, man. Yeah, it would suck not having you around. Fuck, man.
Yeah, people said that, but you gotta understand, when you deal with shit all the time, having people say nice things like that, bro, it meant a lot to me. So that it's kind of reframed my thinking when it comes to the audience and my place here. And like I also wrote on X that I'm blessed. I'm very blessed to where I probably don't have to do YouTube for money anymore, because I've got enough investments going that I can live without YouTube for the rest of my life, which bothers a lot of people. Too bad. You should have freaking invested and saved your money. But invested right. But I'm still going to stick around. Like, I'm not retiring, but it's a lot less stressful to be able to like know that. But still, like, with the way that the economy is, bro, that might not last either. So it just,
yeah. Cause I was going to say, when you said that on Twitter, I was like, fuck. Cause like, I don't know if you like this person or you watch this person's stuff, but you know, like Charlie Kirk passed away. I feel like,
yes,
it's just
passed away. I mean,
assassinated. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I saw the footage too, bro.
I was gonna say, I didn't want to say this on Twitter because people would have said, "Oh, you're just doing it for likes," or some bullshit like that. Like, I need likes. Fucking hell, I shit post every day. So like, what I was gonna say was, if you had passed away, which you didn't, which is awesome that you didn't, I feel like you would have had the similar impact that Charlie Kirk did when he passed away. People would have been like, "Damn, I really, really love this guy." I feel like you would have had that impact, because not a lot of people would have. Because I feel like you're one of the people in the fandom that would have had that.
I was nowhere near as famous as Charlie Kirk.
Well, like I'll say on Dragon Ball fandom level, you would have been like that level. I think so.
Okay? Yes and no. There would have been people who would have been saying that, but there would have been just enough other people saying that they're glad that I'm dead and tough shit. Because when Charlie Kirk died, it was the same thing.
Right.
I mean, there were videos all over TikTok of people saying, "Did you hear the good news?" And it's just it's very disgusting and repulsive. Even if you think that, like, if you disagree with his politics or any of that stuff, it's fine. To celebrate the death of a person is just, I can't do that. I just can't.
People are disgusting. I was using him as a reference because given how much you've impacted people, you would have had the negative stuff, but I think the positive would have outweighed. I think in that specific situation,
I like to think
would have outweighed. Me too. Yeah,
I wouldn't care because I'm dead. So
right, like
the only ones I care about is my friends and family and what they think. Really,
yeah, because like, you said you grow up and you get different perspective. I think sometimes in my life now, I'm a little bit more optimistic or less optimistic, give or take, how a situation is. But I think if I'm being super optimistic here, I think you would have had that level. But I think you truly did impact people. And I do think people would genuinely miss you if you were gone. Even the haters would have missed you. I think so.
I would like to think that you're right about that. I just know, because every time somebody dies,
you never know.
No matter who they are. Even when Toriyama died, there was people saying he was a racist. Like, it's just, there's always disgusting people out there who are always going to look at the negative of someone's life. It's just everyone. It's everyone. It's just, it's really, it's unfortunate, because that's just not the right way to, that's not the right way to be, I don't think.
Yeah. But it all came back to what you said. So jealousy and envy really do destroy people
and mental illness mental illness. That's the other thing, the parasocial shit. The reality is, people who are fans of like YouTubers don't really know much about them. Like, there's a lot, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of guys on YouTube who are seen as nice guys, who people think are very nice people, and they're not behind the scenes. I used to be friends with a few of them. They play the nice guy game, but then when you really get to know them, they're very selfish, they're very scummy, they're very slimy. And then there's people like me who people think I'm the worst person in the world because I'm honest. I mean, I don't care. I stopped caring about that a while ago, but I
Yeah.
used to care. I definitely used to care. And that's why I said, man, for some people, a 9 to 5 is better because it just depends on the person.
Yeah, and that's only because the people they're only seeing what's on the videos. Like there's like players in League of Legends where people in the behind the scenes keep saying they're dirt bags and they're the worst people ever, but the viewers only see what's in the videos and on like Twitter or the screen, so they don't see the other side of this person. And that's the problem when people are such a huge fan of YouTubers. Like, dude, I would like to believe they're the best person in the world. I would love to believe that, but given how we've lived life for a long time, how that could easily just go away in a snap of a finger, honestly. Like, guys, I want to tell you, there's some people in life you'll call your best friends and they'll screw you over and you'll go like, fuck this person. Those might be friends you've known in your entire life.
That happened to me very recently. There was a guy who said that he called me his best friend and now he doesn't talk to me anymore. I mean, I was very upset about it. I'm still kind of upset about it, but I already tried reaching out and trying to squash it. Like if you're unwilling to communicate with me on what an issue could be, I can't do anything to fix it. So
yep. I just want to say it was great having you on, man, for the first time. Can't wait to have you on again for a second time, because the second time we got to talk about everything else you like, which is wrestling and Marvel and DC and all that.
Whatever you want.
But that's for a second appearance later on, because I'm old and too rich and good looking for YouTube. I'm joking. That's a joke. Good Lord. I'm not a black Goku, as much people say with the certain hair I have. I can't go Super Saiyan. I know I'm not a black Super Saiyan, because Frieza would have destroyed them, given how we know he treats monkeys. Just saying, he would have got rid of them.
Yeah, I can't believe you went there. There was a website. There was a website way back in the early 2000s called The Black Goku. Do you remember this?
Fuck no, I'm far too young.
Yeah, and it was basically like a guy with like a chain and like he had a goatee, and it was a black guy in Goku's gi. And if you went to the website, he was one of the only guys that had like full episodes of Dragon Ball Z where you can download them, but they were really bad quality, like really bad. But some of them were stuff that you couldn't get anywhere else. And I think if you go to Internet Archive, it's DA Black, the Black Goku. In fact, on Reddit, the Black Goku was a fan site launched in 2000, one of thousands of fan sites. Yeah, yes, actually, wow, their image is still up. So Derek Padula did the Black. Oh, it's an article he wrote. Okay, well, anyways, and I just remember that's one of the fan sites from the early 2000s. They don't have these anymore, bro. Everybody's on YouTube or social media now.
Yeah.
But back then, man, I was even making one. I had a fan site I was working on called Planet Vegeta, where I was going to do like bios and all this Dragon Ball information. Never got it finished. Oh, well, what can you do?
Hell yeah, man.
The days of websites, like those kind of websites.
Well, Google AI overviews have really destroyed that shit. And that'll be something we discuss on another episode. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. It was great having Geekdom101 on for the first time. Looking forward to a second appearance down the road in the future sometime. And we'll see you guys